All rise for the start of the People's Show. It's 5 o'clock on the East Coast on a Tuesday. Myself, Bobby Gomes, Tim, Tasteful Tides. Next hour and 15 minutes, you got us until we work our way into crunch time. Crunch time today, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. You got Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, and of course you got John Breslin. You know him better as SquirrelPatrol. 2+ hours nonstop MLB DFS conversation, taking you straight up the lock. 9-game slate. Talking a little football pre-show because news is coming out. We're all concerned about our best ball shares, Tim. Tim Patrick apparently was cut. We saw some players out for the season, Elijah Mitchell. But we have to transition and talk a little bit of baseball here. But how are things, Tim? How's Tuesday treating you? Coming off the high of getting the most likes ever in your life on Twitter. So congratulations to you. That was what you said. I think you have a tweet that has 10 likes. Which was against me. I don't know if that's the reason why people are liking it, but I'm still upset about it. I had a hard time sleeping last night, but I'm over it, I think. How's Tuesday, Tim?
A lot of people sold you out, Dean, on Twitter. They betrayed you, and it was great to see. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was an awful take by you. I had to call you out. So
well, we'll float it to the chat. Let's see what the chat says. I don't mean to cut you off. And yeah, like you said, that you don't know who likes anything anymore these days on Twitter. So I want to know who was disagreeing with me, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Likes are anonymous now. But I was just saying, I was talking to Grant. You guys know Grant Neefer? He does those turd bombs. I was talking to him last night, and somebody we were talking about there's a sequel coming out for both Happy Gilmore and a sequel coming out for Dodgeball. I'm like, which one are you looking forward to more? And then it sort of bled into which is more rewatchable, the original. I thought it was Hard and Fast. Dodgeball is a more rewatchable movie. And we took it to Twitter, and I got lambasted. I got mollywopped. The people absolutely agree that it was a Happy Gilmore. And I'll take my L. It's still just my opinion. But and you led the charge. You were telling me that it's Happy Gilmore and it's not even close. Maybe the chat can tell me otherwise.
I do like the comment in chat that says both of the sequels will be horrendous. That's probably true. See, the sequels are often horrendous.
Isn't Ben Stiller like 60? He's going to be playing dodgeball at 60. He's got to be up there, right? Vince Vaughn's got to be in his 50s. Are they going to be coaches now? Are they going to be saying dip, duck, dive, dodge, and dip? I don't know. And dodge. But sequels for both are announced, and I guess Sandler's going to be still playing golf. All right, well, I'll watch them both. I mean, you're going to watch them both too, right? We're not necessarily going to love it. We're going to watch them.
I'm going to watch them for sure.
Yeah. You have a thought on this, Bobby? I know I'm catching you off guard here. You're probably catching up here. Do you have an opinion? Have you seen Happy Gilmore and Dodgeball at least once? And which would you want to see again?
My first opinion of like how the show has started off. Sorry, I'm having allergy issues currently today. But Tim had his highest like number on Twitter, and Dean attributed it to the fact that it was him that Tim was tweeting about. It's just another example of Dean tooting his own horn.
It's always about Dean, no matter what. It's always.
What does that mean? Like, always. I got to make it about myself. I'm staring in the mirror. How do I make this about me? How do I make Tim's likes about me?
No, exactly. I just think it's unfair to Tim, like, not to give him the credit on his own. He had a pretty nice tweet. I didn't see it. I'm sure if I did see it, I would have liked it. I'm sure he one-upped you like he usually does in this show. And so basically, I just wanted to, Tim, congrats. I'll give you, I can't like it. So, and you wouldn't know if I liked it anyways, because Twitter's now anonymous, which I love. Can like whatever tweet I like, and no one has to see what I'm liking. So yeah, it's good.
I want to know what you like. I want to know what Bobby likes.
I don't think you do. I don't think I want you knowing either. I don't think I want you knowing either.
Fair enough. By the way, the poll, we have a poll in chat. Feel free to vote in the poll in chat. But it was 71% Happy Gilmore and 29% Dodgeball on Twitter. And I'm rounding up for the record. It was 71.8 and 28.2. So I took a big old L. And even Kevin Roth came at me and said he said, he gave me the Bob Barker, this guy sucks tweet, whoever said that Dodgeball is better. So I am in the minority in this. By the way, Tim's tweet, just so you know, is very, very clever. It says Happy Gilmore, not close. So that's the tweet everybody's proud of for Tim. I mean, it's pretty straight to the point, but you said it was a fabulous
tweet. And then he takes a shot at him. And then he takes a shot at him. Good tweet, Tim. I'm on the Happy Gilmore side too. I like Happy Gilmore. I'm a fan of Sandler. Obviously, dodgeball is great in itself. Vince Vaughn. But yeah, I don't know. He tried to kick you when you were down too. It's tough scene here for Dean early.
I am not even. I would never try to kick Tim when he's down. It's got the Marlins lineup, by the way. It's bad. Marlins tonight are playing in Colorado, Coors Field. What is it? A 10.5 total, 11 total. Norby's leading off. Berger, Sanchez, Bride, Lopez, Stowers, Brujan. We have the 2K Jeff Conine offspring batting 8th tonight. Sanchez is doing the catching for the Marlins. By the way, no Devers tonight for Boston. I think Devers will be one of the better plays, but scratch him off the list. I had Boston as my top stack earlier. I didn't really love any stacks, to be honest, and I kind of moved them down because of that. The lack of Devers. Doyle may rule, but he's not playing baseball tonight. Also, not playing baseball again for Colorado. We do have the shortstop is back for Colorado. Tovar is playing baseball for Colorado, so their lineup is a little bit better than yesterday, I suppose. It's a 9-gamer. Hit the like button if you guys are hanging out in chat. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. It is also a Tournament Tuesday. It's a Tournament Tuesday. Free contest. Get it in the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. I see this. Okay, so Steve, we have a scrolling. I didn't see this rule. Did we implement this rule, or is this like an old scroll, Steve, as far as the 2 first names thing? I don't think we're doing that today. I thought it was just straight low ball. Feel free to clarify, or did I misread that? Let's go ahead and let's confirm that you must play games not on the. Okay, so Steve is swapping that out. Okay, yeah, we'll get that changed just a second. There is a bit of a weather issue, nothing crazy, but do want to mention as of right now, orange yellow in St. Louis. Roth, of course, will give some clarity to that in about an hour plus. I'll drop it in chat. And here's the key: if you're playing low ball and your game gets rained out, your lineup is rained out. That's it. So all your players have to play. They have to play official games. So play the rain games at your own discretion. If they get rained out, you're obviously going to be automatically disqualified. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium, 2 weeks free, 2 weeks free of RG Premium if you play this contest while rocking the RotoGrinders avatar. Again, jump into Discord to get that contest. RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Producer Devin, I believe, has the contest posted. Yes, there it is. Just dropped a couple minutes ago. Jump in there, have at it. Okay, 9-gamer. We got plenty of time, boys. Tim, see if you can take that momentum with that spectacular tweet and break down the slate and tell me how you're feeling about tonight's 9-gamer.
Yeah, I mean, 9-game slate. I think there's a lot to like on both sides of the ledger, whether it be pitching, hitting, stacks, one-offs. I mean, there's a lot to like. I'm having a tough time deciding on my pitchers for cash games and single entry. I think there's a lot of different combinations you can make. I think there's a lot of pitchers with ceiling that are going to go fairly low owned. So I definitely would not mind if people like spread out a little bit their pitching ownership if they're MMEing. Same goes with bats. I think a lot of people are going to flock to that Coors game, which could very well go off, but I don't mind some of these other games as well. So, I mean, there's quite a bit to like, and I think there's a lot of sneaky spots that we can talk about. And we can talk about getting off some of this pitching shock, I think, for GPPs and talk about some pivots.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff you can like. You can talk to yourself into liking. I don't think there's anything you can love. You guys can tell me otherwise. There's nothing I love. And, best stack could be the Dodgers. If you want it to be the Rockies, sure. Just because Roddery has just been so horrendous. I know Colorado's terrible too. Boston, even without Devers, still, you can make an argument. San Diego's fine. The Mets, they're now facing Fott for the record. Fott is throwing baseballs for Arizona in case you missed it. It's not Erod. And then as far as pitchers, I feel similar the same way. As far as if you want to argue today's top pitcher is Logan Gilbert, sure. Schwellenbach, if you want to go Schwellenbach, okay. Flaherty, yeah, why not? Cease, Webb, those first 5, I don't really know what the correct order is. If you have a hard stand, go with it. Ownership-wise, we currently have Gilbert as the top guy at 38%, which I don't really love because, he doesn't have the best K rate amongst the top pitchers. So of course, he has the matchup against Seattle, who they strike out a lot. I'm sure you guys have heard. Flaherty, 29%. Springs, 22%. Other side of that game with Seattle just because of the Seattle's tendency to strike out a fair bit, although Rosarena has revenge in his heart based off last night. Another cheapie is Andrew Haney, just he's facing the White Sox. Then there's Webb, Schwellenbach, and Cease. So if you're going ownership-wise, Webb at 17, Schwellenbach 17, Cease at 14. Bobby, what are your thoughts? Do you have clarity as far as this is my favorite, or you're just kind of are you MMEing and just getting pockets of being over and under on certain players, certain teams? For me, I don't have a clear this is my favorite. It's just these are routes, and I'm still debating which way I'm going to go as far as my main lineup.
Yeah, I like Texas a good bit. Obviously, Andrew Haney comes into play. I think he's one of those pitchers with upside. I did just see that he has a hitter's umpire, not extreme hitters, so that's always a little frightening. He's not egregious chalk, but I think he grades out pretty well versus the White Sox. The White Sox were favored earlier in the day. I think that's pretty much flipped. I couldn't believe the White Sox were favored when I looked at it. So I like Haney a good bit. Logan Gilbert, I think, is a really good play. Spencer Schwellenbach's going to be there for Atlanta for me as well. And I'm starting to get interested in Jeffrey Springs versus the Mets. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm kind of looking at currently from a pitching angle.
The Springs thing is is pitch count, Bobby. I didn't mean to cut you off, but how concerned are you as far as the pitch count? Because I think we have 85 pitches as our median projection. I guess that's good enough. It's kind of baked into his price though.
Yeah, it's baked into his price at 7.5, so definitely don't mind some Springs. Logan Webb's there too at 8.7, right? Shoot, I like Webb a good bit. 17% owned. So I don't know. I think that's kind of the majority of my pitching. I'm not playing Sean Manaea. Currently not looking at Jack Flaherty at 10K. I don't know. Maybe I should be more interested in Flaherty, but currently I don't have Flaherty. I know I'm definitely going to be on.
Why is he not in the pool? Just because of the opponent mostly?
The opponent and the price tag at 10K. I don't know. Maybe I should have more interest in Flaherty, but I'm going to have Dodgers bats. So currently I just have the Dodgers bats, but maybe my opinion on Flaherty will change throughout the show.
Tim, your thoughts here can you separate these guys? Flaherty, Cease, Schwellenbach, Gilbert, Manaea. Do you have any clear separators for you, or is it all kind of like one tier?
I mean, I think Logan Gilbert is the best available pitcher on the slate. 9,400. I'm kind of with Bobby about Flaherty. Just the matchup and the price, just not great for me. Kind of reminds me of yesterday with Wheeler against Houston. He was 10K on FanDuel, and he was okay. He was great, but you didn't have to have him. And I think that's going to be the case like Flaherty tonight. So 10K for me. I'm not going to get there in cash games. I'm not going to get there in single entry. I think he's just a little bit too expensive. Let me just 30% ownership. If I was MMEing tonight, that would be probably half of that. I wouldn't full fade him, but maybe I get 10%. So the whole Jeffrey Springs situation is super interesting because he's 7,500. He hasn't looked like the same guy, and he's going to be pretty highly owned. So if you want to bet against him and stack some Seattle, I think you're going to get Seattle super low owned. So, but Springs is cheap, and he's going up against a very, very high strikeout team. So I don't hate him, but I think SB2, I'm leaning Schwellenbach in cash games at 9K. So I think he's probably going to be my SB2 to go along with Gilbert, but I might go Webb. I'm not sure. So for me, it's Gilbert, Schwellenbach, Webb, Springs, and then Heaney to round up my top five. I would not pitch Heaney in cash, but I think he's fine for single entry or large field GPPs.
Springs has thrown 5 games this year. I see Alan in chat say Springs road numbers. Yikes. Well, it's 2 games. He had 1 game in Oakland. He wasn't good. He had 1 game in St. Louis. He wasn't good. I mean, I wouldn't do home road stuff there based on 2 games. He's had 2 usable starts out of his 5. He was really good against Arizona at home and good against Baltimore at home. The pitch count, again, 82 pitches last time out, 70, 64 that, 83, 87, 76. So we're talking like between 75 and like 85 pitches. And, of course, Seattle's a good and appealing matchup as well. The chat's well actually you, Bobby. Apparently the White Sox are never favored, according to Monty, which wouldn't surprise me. I don't know the official what's correct or what's not. Because do you know the White Sox there are 70 games under 500 right now. No team in the history of baseball has ever been 31-101, which is just insane. That is bonkers how terrible they are. Yeah, I don't know but I'm just saying what the chat is saying apparently. I like Derek talking about Chaminade 5%. Yes, please. Are we MMEing tonight, Bobby? I know Tim, I assume you're not, but are we running a bunch of lineups? Just doing a couple here because I think Manaya should be in the pool if you're running. I don't know 5 to 10 lineups. I'm going to get at least one share of Manaya, especially if he's only 5% owned. His Arizona team without Ketel Marte, without Christian Walker. I know they're one of the hottest teams in baseball collectively, and good for them. But Manaya can certainly be the top pitcher here. I think you kind of poo-pooed him, Bobby, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Bobby, you're running a bunch of lineups tonight, or just a few? What's the plan?
I'm just playing 3 lineups, so I'm not getting to Manaya. So you guys can kind of give your take on him for larger field stuff. I don't think I'd be playing him in smaller field stuff, but maybe that's the wrong take. Tim, you can kind of go there if I think you're bullish on him.
On Manaya?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's only going to be 5%. I think he could very well be a top 3 or 4 pitcher on the slate, so I don't mind getting a little bit overweight him. He has flashed ceilings at points this season, so I don't really hate him at 7,700. I do prefer Heaney, but ownership does reflect that. Heaney's going to be like 23% versus Manaya's 4.5%. So, take that for what you want. I'm curious to hear Tobias Myers. He's projected, better than Manaya, better than Heaney, and he's pretty close to Springs in the BAT projections anyway. And he's going to be around 10% owned. I personally think he gets squeezed a little bit more than that between Heaney and Springs. I think he gets squeezed even lower. I don't necessarily hate him either for large field stuff.
You got anything on Myers, Bobby? I see King in chat's talking about Myers as well. He's sort of on the fringes for me. I'm not running a bunch of lineups. I'm not saying you can't, but I probably won't. Pretty average pitcher. He's been lucky as far as ERA, 2.87, but is under the hood. We're talking about a Sierra. It's just above 4. We're not really afraid of San Fran. San Fran, of course, getting a positive ballpark bump because they are on the road. Did you have an official Myers take here, Bobby?
I think you could play I'm more on the website in that game, so I'm not really going to be getting to Myers, but I do think it's interesting at the price point for tournaments at 7-8.
Yeah. By the way, on Manaya, just kind of backing up the truck a little bit here. Just the tricky part here is Arizona is just really, really contact heavy. Their lineup today, or at least the projected lineup today, 18.4% as far as Ks. But if you care about last 30 days, is that a big enough sample? That last 30 days, Manaya last 30 days. 40% strikeout rate versus lefties. It's only 20 hitters, but collectively 30.3% versus everybody, which is just a monster number. The walks are awesome, just 5.7%. The ISO 114, the WOBA 233, tons of ground balls. He's been in awesome form of late. Did Whit Merrifield go 5 for 5 yesterday? He's Cam and chat saying
he sure did.
Did it? Yeah, Whit Merrifield. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Did I mush Merrifield? I probably did. I never play that dude. He's leading off again today. I guess that's why he's leading off again, despite the fact they're facing a righty and Michael Harris is in the lineup. I was like, why is Harris not leading off? I guess they're going to give it to hot Whit Merrifield. He's going to probably be popular too as a cheapie leading off on the road. But I once again will hold my nose and not click Whit Merrifield. I don't think. I shouldn't say definitively, but I'm not a fan. Were they all singles? Were they all singles, like infield singles, or did he actually hit the ball close to the outfield? Maybe he did. Not sure. He had a homer, egg on my face. But you guys can chase, the red hot Whit Merrifield if you want to. Let's see. Other pitchers that are worth mentioning, worth acknowledging to join the conversation. I saw somebody was asking in chat about, and Bobby even kind of referenced it, the umpire stuff. We do have a couple extreme hitters umpires. Dylan Cease, extreme hitters umpire in Coors today. That's probably more so a conversation for hitters. You're not rostering the pitchers no matter what the situation is. So yeah, Quantrill, Munoz, Michaelis, Cease is the only one of note that's kind of interesting with extreme hitters umpire. Does that do anything for you, Bobby? Do you care if he's got an extreme hitters umpire? Cease is fine, sure. But I forget where you ranked him. My apologies. I know you kind of ran him down. Where did you have him in the mix of those five? That's the five guys at the top.
I was down on Cease just because of the weather, and now because of the extreme hitters umpire, I think I'm probably out. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I know he's people if he's gonna be low owned, people are gonna attack him. And right when I said that, I was looking at it and SquirrelPatrol had Cease written up. So I maybe I don't know. I'm still off Cease. I don't want to play Cease, but I guess if you can make a case to I versus St. Louis, like St. Louis is just St. Louis. I never really like playing St. Louis bats, so I don't know. You could throw Cease out. I'm not playing Cease. I feel like Dean, you're probably going to be playing Cease now.
I don't think so. I'm not against it, but I'll tell you the way I ranked them earlier today was Gilbert, Flaherty, Schwellenbach, Manaea, Cease, Webb. That's how I had them ranked. But it's so close. Yeah. So Tim, Schwellenbach is the real deal, right? This guy's legit. Like, I know he's got a fun name and he's sticking around, and like he seems like a real major league pitcher. I don't know if there's going to be adjustment at some point. I don't think he was like an uber prospect. I could be wrong with this, but I don't think he was. But he's been really, really good in the majors, especially the under the hood stuff, right? Almost a 4 ERA, but he's been unlucky. 3.12 Sierra. Yeah, I think he's legit, and the Ks are awesome. 28.2%. The walks are great. 4.5%. A little bit more ground balls than fly balls. Is he the real deal, Schwellenbach?
I mean, I don't know if he's the real deal. I mean, it's too early to say, but he has been fantastic early on. So I think going right back to him in this matchup is fantastic. Guys like Wallner and Julian, both over 30% K rates. Guys like Castro and Royce Lewis right around 25% K rates. So, I mean, this Twins lineup, not a lot of Ks at the bottom, but also not a lot of guys that can hurt you. I guess Kepler's okay, but I'm really not intimidated by this Twins lineup. So I really like Schwellenbach today. I think he might even be, let me just double check pricing on FanDuel. I think he might actually be my cash game pitcher on FanDuel at 9,700. So, I mean, you could find the 500 for Gilbert, but if you don't want to find that 500, I think Schwellenbach's the next best thing. So, I mean, who knows if he's the real deal or not, but I think he's great in this matchup.
Arizona lineup just dropped. It was as projected. Perdomo, McCarthy, Gurriel, Bell, Grichuk, Suarez, Carroll, Newman, and Herrera. Still waiting for – did we not get Toronto? Is Toronto not dropped there? Okay, we got Toronto. All right, still waiting for Milwaukee, the Mets, Tampa, Baltimore, LA. They're on the West Coast. No surprise there. Chris is saying Chris Taylor tonight. Whoa. He might get like 2 at-bats. That's a bold proclamation, sir. You better get like at least 15-1 on Chris Taylor homers. I don't know what his prop is, but and there's your mush for the night right there. Chris Taylor. I was being told that I mushed Torkelson yesterday too. I was just saying he was a kind of a bust as a first overall pick. I actually played a little Torkelson because I've been playing Detroit for Chicago. Any events. Who wants to give the Haney story? Is it just like he's facing Chicago, Finn, end the story? That's our sales pitch. I don't like playing Andrew Heaney, but the K's are pretty good, and Chicago's pretty bad, and he's pretty cheap, and that's it, Bobby? Is that why we're playing Haney?
For me, yeah, that's why I'm playing Haney. I'm attacking Chicago pretty much all year, so I don't think it's going to change much. Allows a ton of power. Like, what power do the White Sox really have? You know what I mean? So The ISO's at 0.096 on the season. Like, that's terrible. I'm fine with Haney tonight.
Yeah. Tim, did you say you wouldn't play him in your cash games? I'm not sure if he's landing in some.
I would not play him in cash games, but I would certainly get to him in GPPs. I think you could even play him in single entry. But cash just seems a little bit sketchy. I think there's safer options, and there's plenty of value hitters too. So I don't think it's necessary to play a 7K Andrew Heaney. I can't even find home run odds. I can't even find home run odds on Chris Taylor. I can't even find them.
Yeah, come to the Book of Dean. I'll give you 12-1 odds. So slide into my DMs. I'm happy to give those odds out. Maximum bet like $100. I don't want to go broke. If somebody bets like $5,000 on Chris Taylor, it can be a tough scene for your boy. Anyways, that's it, right? As far as pitchers, anything else going on as far as pitching wise? I'm trying to see if there's anybody we really ignored. I don't think so. I gave a refresh. I want to see if we have a new batch of ownership, and we do as of a few minutes ago. So if you guys have lineup HQ, give that a refresh. 37% for Gilbert, again, still on DK. Flaherty at 32. I'm willing to play Flaherty. You guys didn't seem, at least Bobby didn't seem thrilled about Flaherty. I don't really want to pick on Baltimore, but I kind of like both sides of that game. Haney's coming in at 22. Springs 21. Just don't know what Springs' upside is, but like, what does he really need to put up to be useful? 20, and you're good. Schwellenbach at 15. I kind of liked it. He's not going to be terribly owned. Webb at 13. Cease at 13. Fault at 12. Myers at 10. Everybody else. We have Manaea at 4%. 4% Manaea. Chris wants to know the FanDuel cash pitcher. You kind of touched on that, Tim. You said as of right now, it's probably Schwellenbach for you, but there's probably a couple in consideration.
Yeah, it's Schwellenbach or Gilbert. If you can fill in a team that you absolutely love and you have the money for Gilbert, by all means play Gilbert. If you need that extra $500, then I think it's Schwellenbach. I definitely would not play Webb, Flaherty, or Cease in cash games, and they're all more expensive than Gilbert. They are, to me, are completely off the cash game board. So it's Gilbert or Schwellenbach for me.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Gilbert is 10-2 on FanDuel. Flaherty is 10-3. We have Gilbert at 27%, Flaherty at 17%. And I can see that being actually a little bit wider. So I think Flaherty is probably interesting for tournaments because he's $100 more, and Gilbert projects a little bit better for tournaments. Yeah, for cash, like you're talking, play Gilbert. If you have the money for Gilbert, by all means. But I think Flaherty is an interesting little tournament pivot. We have a 1v1 here in chat that I just saw dropped, and we can entertain this. We'll talk hitters in a second. Bobby, Don Yeezy wants to know Vladdy or McMahon at third. I mean, obviously it helps to know more about the lineup, but that's all we got in a vacuum in a Hoover. Do we have Vladdy or McMahon?
Well, I wrote up Vlad, so I'm going to go Vlad. I just think he's likely the play for me. And I poo-pooed Toronto last week, and it came back to bite me. I'm gonna play some Vlad. I just think the power is there. It's a good spot. I like Vlad tonight.
Yeah, I mean, these things are going to happen if you have it is a bold strategy for sure. If you fire off enough takes, you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss. It's just gonna happen sometimes. That's just how it goes. All right, I think we're good as far as pitchers, right? Anything else that should be said here, Tim? As far as pitchers, I think we pretty much laid it out there for the people.
I think we're good with pitching.
All right, we shall pivot to hitters in a second. Today's tier category, and I'll have the chat run off some names. This will inspire the people for sure. I had a hard time making the board. I think I ran it by – I ran some pieces by you guys, not the official end of the board. But specific to MLB specific player nicknames. MLB specific player nicknames, the best and worst Major League Baseball player nicknames. Let me know in chats. Where's our poll at? I bet you more people voted in the poll than they have as far as hitting the like button. You know what's wild? More watchable. Happy Gilmore versus Dodgeball. 69% Happy Gilmore, 31% Dodgeball. That is the same exact numbers that are on my Twitter. I guess that's just the number. You get a bigger sample and it's just not budging. That is wild. I guess hey, majority rules here. Oh my God, I totally forgot about Big Dumper. Derek, Big Dumper did not make the board. I did not put him on the board.
Unbelievable. Dean.
Well, no. First of all,
Wow.
don't be pointing fingers at me. Nicely done, Steve. Don't be pointing.
Why can't I point fingers at you? You're the one. You made the list.
Yeah, but I asked for help and you gave me no help. You didn't say, "Hey, what about Big Dumper? Don't forget about Big Dumper." You're my teammate, and you blew it.
All you did was you. Yeah, you're the host, and all you did was list nicknames. That was it.
But I gave them to you guys, and I said, "Hey, listen, help me. What else do you have?" That was an input. Here's a list of potential nominees. Feel free to add to the list, and you gave me nothing.
I think the next tweet I'm going to make is
we've already done
screenshot.
We've already done
our private chat.
Take some accountability is all I'm saying. I will too. I'll take ownership. I screwed up. My bad. I should have considered the Big Dumper. Casey's saying Goose Gossage. Isn't that his real name? Is it not Goose Gossage? Oh, it's Rich Gossage, isn't it? Yeah. Oil Can Boyd. His name is Dennis Boyd, pitcher for Boston, being thrown out there in chat. Ozzie Smith, the Wizard Ozzie Smith. Big Unit, of course. Shout out to the Big Unit, Randy Johnson. Well, Patty the Tooth or Patty the Brain. The Splendid Splitter was in consideration for Ted Williams. I see Mr. Richards throwing that out there. Charlie Hustle, Izzy's throwing out there, which is, of course, Pete Rose. Chuck Nasty, that is Charlie Blackman. He's no longer Chuck Nasty, though. That nickname is definitely faded away. Several people have acknowledged the number one nickname on the board. Like 3 people have thrown it out there, so we can't. Who's Big Christmas? Do you guys know who Big Christmas is? Is that the nickname? What's that?
Is it Bill Spaceman Lee, number 1?
Oh, that's a good one. He's the guy that took he was on a different kind of performance enhancer when I think he threw out a hit for Boston, but he was known for taking interesting concoctions as he pitched. So Noel for Cleveland is called Big Christmas. I didn't know that. The big boy, the big hitter, he reminds me of Aristides Aquino. Big City, Matt Adams. That's pretty good as well. All right. We should go ahead and reveal the board. Mr. Richards upset Ted Williams is not on the list. I put a couple Mets on here to appease producer Steve. We'll talk about it. But yes, several people said it. Number 1 nickname is Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. It's a spectacular. Also, it works with the products he's hawking these days. Feel free to give a Google on that. Pablo Sandoval, Kung Fu Panda, just spectacular. Just a spectacular nickname. Polar Bear, we get the Polar Bear, Pete Alonso in the middle. The Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. The tricky thing is I put him kind of low because he's not really the Dark Knight. It definitely wasn't the last couple of years, but he had a window where he was spectacular. Same deal with Thor, Syndergaard there for the Mets, where he was a spectacular pitcher. Didn't really earn that nickname the last several years of his career. We like picking on him. But James is saying El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. Big Meat Pete. Yeah, bad job by me. I forgot I should have put Big Meat Pete up there instead of Polar Bear. He's got more than one nickname. Sultan the Swat is really good too, is he? Yeah, you can only do so much. And last but not least, I think really I just wanted to say Big Game James is the most ridiculous nickname in all sports. James Shields, we picked on him the last 3 or 4 years of his career, DFS-wise. And Big Game James Shields, he had 11 games in the postseason, a 5.46 ERA, a 1.53 WHIP. Big Game James. What? Well, how did it? Just because it rhymes, this is the definitive. Just because it rhymes doesn't make it true. Mean Joe Green was the nicest guy in the world, but his name's Joe Green, so he's got to be mean. I don't understand how the origin story of Big Game James is.
I know the origin story.
Okay, what do you got?
He had some lights out games versus the Red Sox when he pitched for Tampa in the playoffs.
Yeah, he had a couple. Yeah. But overall, big picture.
And then it's just like Big Game James. It's like a common nickname. His name's James. That's pretty much it.
But if his name was like Tommy Shields, there's no way anybody would call him Big Game Tommy Shields.
Yeah, but Big Game James is a nickname that's synonymous in sports previously, right? So
Is it?
After he had those couple good playoff games, he became Big Game James for the Rays, and then wherever he went afterwards.
The chat saying Big Shot Bob. Yeah, that's another one that's pretty silly and ridiculous. It just kind of works phonetically.
He hit 3 big shots to win finals. Bob,
Great.
Robert Horry, right? Correct?
No, I thought Big Shot. Wait, was Robert Horry Big Shot Bob? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Which, it could have been any 3-point specialist that took those shots and made those shots in a small window.
Not any. Yeah. That isn't true at all. Those were absolutely huge shots.
He fell into them, though. He has happened to be the 3-point specialist of the team. They made, in a small sample, he made 3 big shots. Good for him. And some people want to say he's a Hall of Famer. He's like 5 rings, which is outrageous, by the way. Good career. I'm not here to poo-poo.
In the NBA, based on like who they've let in, you could make the case in that league. Not saying that he deserves it, obviously, but they let everyone in. So why not just let in Robert Horry, right? 5 rings.
I like how Tim types in chat and doesn't verbalize it. But yes, Crime Dog was on the list. Tim is saying Crime Dog should be up there. Fred McGriff, that's an excellent one. He was considered. He was in others receiving votes. Donnie Baseball is pretty good as well. Not a big Mattingly guy, but good nickname. All right. Let's see. Trying to see. The chat's giving me the business. Mr. Cub is pretty good. Sure. You just can't have everybody. That's just how it goes. You got to pick 5. And you can't put everybody on the board. But again, collectively, James Shields had a 5.5 ERA in the playoffs in his career. He had a couple of good games in the playoffs, and good for him. But overall, I think it was a pretty. They should have took his nickname away. Maybe after he was good the first couple of games, Bobby, and then said, you know what? I think we were a little quick to give him the big game moniker, and retroactively, let's take it back. Is that fair?
That's fair, Dean. That's fair. My allergies are killing me, and you're just making me talk. But I appreciate it.
You want me? I'm happy to lower your usage. We can delegate.
No, you're good. You're good.
You want to be PJ Tucker? We can have Tim all of a sudden turn to James Harden. Big game James Harden.
I don't mind being Robert Horry.
Well, when you get the shot, though, you got to make the shot. That's the thing. You don't take a lot of shots. When that 3-pointer comes to you at the buzzer, are you clutch?
I hit it last week. Last week with the Orioles, Dean. I hit it last week with the Orioles. That's all I'll say.
There you go. What happened last week with the Orioles? I don't remember.
Is that your top runs?
All right.
Yep.
Sweet. You're only.
It was poo-pooed.
You're only as good as your last shot.
Yep.
The chat poo-pooed it. I poo-pooed it. Really? All right. Maybe I did. I like how you remember that I did that, though.
I never forget, Dean. I never forget.
Mike says Dean has 0 rings, which is pretty funny.
0 rings.
Well, whatever. It's not worth getting into. But all right, yeah, big unit there's a lot of nicknames that are good that they can't make the board. Yeah, Doc Gooden was also considered. Just didn't.
I think this is one of the worst lists I've ever looked at. I could have made a better list in 5
seconds.
If I
now that I've looked at this for long enough, this list is the worst list.
You could have, but you chose not to. You were too busy.
It's a bad list.
Bobby, it hurts so hard for you to talk, yet it's really easy for you to tell me how terrible the list is.
Well, that's easy for me to get out because I get enjoyment of telling you you're terrible. No, I'm joking. That's not true. He's my
guy. Jeff is giving us Nigerian Nightmare. That's football. That's a different sport. Christian Okoye, but that was a spectacular nickname. All right. Again, too many to choose from. How come you didn't say this before? You didn't tell me, Tim. You didn't say, hey, you set me up for failure. You didn't say, hey, I think this list stinks. You wanted to see me fail in front of the people.
We both said it.
No, I mean,
it's a bad idea for a list.
I think we did. I think we actually did say that.
You just don't listen. You're not a good. You don't pay attention to your coworker. You're not delegating. We could have helped you out.
We shall move on and talk about some stacks, I suppose. Let's see, 35 minutes until crunch time comes in. Plenty of time. I want to give a refresh there on the weather for St. Louis. Okay, so still it's orange, yellow. Do again what I mentioned. You see the scroll. You can get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. It just takes down our contest today in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. I say take down, but finish last. We're playing low ball. You want to finish last. All your players have to play. They have to be an official game. So play players in rain delay games or rain potential issue games at your own discretion. But yeah, everybody must play in an official game. You have to score the lowest score. You get 2 weeks free. 2 weeks free of RG Premium if you happen to have the RG badge when finishing in last place. Or you can just go ahead and buy yourself some RG Premium. All the links are in the description. Depending on your level of commitment, 6 months. You want to commit to 6 months, you get $250 off the top, as opposed to paying month by month by month by month. Pay right out the gate, commit to 6 months. You get the entire NFL season. I believe that's doing the math right. Maybe not the Super Bowl. I don't know. Close enough. NFL, 10 days away, 9 days away. Get excited. All the sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, also NFL. If that's all you want NFL a la carte, you can click through the banner. I believe it's $2.99 for the entire season. Do not hold me to that. But football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, everything with the exception of NASCAR, as far as the all-encompassing package. You want just 1 month, you get $40 off for 1 month. You want 3 days. Commitment's an issue for you. No worries, I understand. 3 days, less than $20, $19 and change. All right. Very first game on the board as far as stack-wise, playing a little stack game. 7-10 is our first game this evening. The sites did agree that we're going to cut off the 640 games. Toronto and Boston. Bobby, you won the coin toss backstage. It's Cooper Criswell. He's taking on Yariel Rodriguez in Fenway. You got the boots in the ground. You can tell us what's going on there weather-wise, or we can just see what Kevin Roth has to say. We do know that Devers is not playing baseball for Boston. Also know Connor Wong. They have Danny Jansen in there, revenge game for him. Where do you have the Red Sox and the Blue Jays on the board, Bobby?
Yeah, so the Red Sox, I'll put in Kung Fu Panda. And the Blue Jays, I'm going to put in Polar Bear. I like Vlad. Just don't really love all the Blue Jays. I guess Barger is pretty good. It could bump the Blue Jays a little bit. I'm going to leave. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the Blue Jays in Kung Fu Panda also. Think you can play, like I said, Vlad. Will Wagner's there for value. George Springer from the Blue Jays. From the Sox, Tristan Cassis, David Hamilton. Jaron Duran's been on fire, hit another home run last night. Tyler O'Neill and Rafaela. I think those guys all make sense. Those are the guys standing out for me in projections.
All right. We have both in Kung Fu Panda, Pablo Sandoval, which, by the way, individually, spectacular nickname. If you're making fun of that one, I know you don't like the whole board, Tim, but the Kung Fu Panda nickname is incredible. And San Fran did an awesome job marketing it, too, selling I shouldn't say actual pandas, stuffed pandas, and like pandas you put on your head when it gets pretty cold out there in San Fran. But we'll move forward. We'll move beyond the nicknames. Flying Hawaiian was the last one that almost made it, by the way. Shane Victorino, which I always thought was a good nickname. But you tell me, Tim, do we agree with Bobby?
I couldn't figure out who that one was. I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah. Red Sox.
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah. I do agree with Bobby on both of these, actually. So I'm fine with them both being in Kung Fu Panda.
Agreement. We love agreement.
Yep.
Danny Jansen, my favorite player. Don't forget to play Danny Jansen tonight. He's going to hit a home run every time he's on the slate. I'll say that.
I forgot he's your favorite player. How did you celebrate him with the momentous? First player in baseball history to play for both teams in the same
game. In one game. Yep.
Did you celebrate that?
I will. But at the end of the year, I'll pop a bottle of champagne.
Why would...
Revenge narrative too.
Remember a month ago when my favorite player, Danny Jansen, maybe in 364 days, you'll be popping some champagne. You'll be excited about it. And where were you? Where were you when you saw Danny Jansen, play for both teams? Yeah, very exciting stuff. Tim, you were up next. And by the way, Don Easy's saying 10 games. It's 9 games, right? Am I losing my mind? It's 9 games, correct?
I think it's 9 games late. Pretty positive it's 9. Don
Easy trying to throw me off here in chat. Normally reliable.
He said there's a 10 total in the game.
You know what? I'm rattled. My apologies. That's on me. I'll take the L. I was trying to make somebody's comment about me. How do I make this comment about me? All right.
You were.
Tim?
You were. Oh, my God. You were. No, I'm joking.
My bad. Moving forward. Get the edit button out. Atlanta, Minnesota. Schwellenbach taking on Woods Richardson. the red hot Whit Merrifield is leading the Braves tonight, taking on Woods Richardson on the road. They have Harris, despite the fact he's got the platoon advantage, buried in the 6 hole. Not a great lineup, right? Soler, Ozuna, Olson, those guys have a threat, but otherwise, this Atlanta lineup these days not so great. Still no Buxton for Minnesota hanging out in the IL. Where do we have the Braves and the Twins, Tim?
I would probably put Atlanta in a pretty maybe Polar Bear, close to Kung Fu Panda. I'll go with Polar Bear, and I'm definitely going to put the Twins in Big Game James. I'm really, really high on Schwellenbach, maybe too high, but either way, I'm leaving the Twins in Big Game James.
Throwing the Twins in the gutter. That's I don't fully disagree with that either, but just only some one-offs. I'm curious what Bobby thinks. How do we feel about Atlanta right in the middle there, hanging out with Pete Alonso, the Polar Bear, and then Big Game James has got some company with the Twins. Do we agree or disagree?
Yeah, so for me with the Twins, I'm on Schwellenbach heavy as well, so they're fine in Big Game James. For the Braves, I think I'm gonna go Kung Fu Panda for the Braves. Try to get a win here versus Tim. Maybe Dina lean my way. Whit Merrifield, who he poo-pooed last night, leading off. So maybe he's still got the stench of Dean from the reverse curse from Dean. I would say just helping him out there. So like Whit, Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud, my second favorite player in the league. Think he's a good play tonight as well. I think he's what's he batting? 5th. He's in 5th in the order tonight. His usual 5 spot. And Matt Olson. I like the Braves tonight. Short way of saying, and they correlate with Schwellenbach. I'll play some Braves. Put them in Kung Fu.
Merrifield after that big night, his ISO is all the way up to 98 versus righties now this season. So there you go. He's almost in the triple digits. Almost. Maybe one more good night you can get there. Bobby, it's a bold strategy to be mean to me for 20 minutes and say, hey, I'm going to do this and try to get up the team, and he's going to vote for me. I'm not going to. I don't take it personal, but I'm not going to agree with you. So it's not personal. I just agree with Tim. I just agree with Tim in this particular instance. All right, we shall.
I'll remember that, Dean. I'll remember that.
Remember that it's not personal. Yeah, that you should. That is worth remembering. San Diego, St. Louis. Again, this game potentially be some dicey weather. We'll see what Roth has to say in about a half hour or so when he jumps in here. Cease versus Michaelis. I saw somebody asking about playing Michaelis. No. San Diego doesn't strike out, and Michaelis doesn't strike anybody out. I don't know what the upside is. Maybe he goes 7, pretty clean with good BABIP, but he has 4 Ks. Okay, maybe. Probably not.
And there's weather. And there's weather concerns too.
But besides that,
I know. I mean, there's no reason to play him. None whatsoever.
What is his over/under for strikeouts? Is it 3.5 or is it 4.5? If it's 3.5 and juice on the over, it can't be good. Whatever it is, Tim, you got that? You're pulling that up there. As far as I'm curious.
I'm looking at Plate IQ, and his K prop is on Plate IQ is 2.5. I haven't looked at a book yet though.
Yeah. Oh, I was way too ambitious at 4.5. I feel like 3.5 might be the line, and then there's some juice one way or the other. But all right, Tim, this is yours. Padres, Cardinals, Cease, Michaelis. Where are we at as far as the stacks?
Yeah, I'm going to put San Diego in Polar Bear. And that's assuming that the weather is okay to even play this game. The other thing is, I don't bet enough home runs to know this answer. But what is the deal with home run props if the game gets called after 5 innings, let's say? Do you lose or win your bet? Is it, you know what I'm saying? What's the official for prop bets? Because
so
I
if
really
your guy
like
homers,
yeah.
And the game's canceled after 6 or it's an official game?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably a site-by-site conversation. I don't know, though. Yeah, my guess is each site probably has their own. Maybe somebody in chat can inform us if there's a universal rule in that. I was curious. Go ahead.
I really like Jackson Merrill plus 500 on FanDuel. So I would like to get to that, but I don't know how the rules work in terms of rain. So
Producer Steve is telling us you lose if it's an official game and they have an at-bat. Well, yeah, but what about win? Yeah, I think that they're more likely to like make sure you lose. But will they give you the W if it's a 6-inning game that ends at the rain and your dude homers in the 4th inning? I assume that's a win.
Why would it not? They hit a home run.
Well, that's what Tim's asking. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, I assume it is. So I'm guessing it would be good. Obviously, it's not ideal. You want 9 innings of at bats to get there. But okay. Any issues here, Bobby? We have San Diego in the middle with Polar Bear, and then St. Louis hanging out with Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight.
I'm in agreement with Tim. Like Jackson Merrill as well. That plus 500 seems like a good number. He has the rainbow for all the tags in lineup HQ. So, yeah, San Diego and Polar Bear. Cardinals, I think in the Dark Knight, I think that works out fine. Some one-offs for the Cardinals you can get to, but I wouldn't be full stacking them.
By the way, I'm seeing Michaelis over 2.5 minus 170. He probably gets there. He's projected for what it's worth. 3.18 strikeouts is what I'm seeing as his projection. But I don't want to lay that much juice. Not a fun sweat. Yeah, minus 2.5 over 172. Italy 172 on FanDuel as well. So that's the long story short. You don't want to play Michaelis. Like there's basically no upside there as far as strikeouts. I think we're getting some more lineups coming in. Yeah, we just got the Brewers, Terang, Churio, Contreras. Other Contreras is out for like a month. Side note: Bowers, Adames, Perkins, Hoskins, Frelick, and Ortiz. That is today's Brewers lineup. Bobby, you are up. I think you mentioned you like Texas, so this leads right into our next game. Texas taking on Garrett Crochet and his 4 innings of baseball and then bad bullpen stuff. 8.5 total. Texas locked in for 9 on the road. Yeah, they're pretty heavily favored here. Minus 140, Heaney versus Crochet. Where do you have the Rangers and the Sox? Bobby?
So the White Sox, I think you can leave in the dark. So in the White Sox, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
The Dark Knight, I'd put the White Sox just for the fact that basically Haney could blow up at any time. Texas, I'm putting in the big hurt. Corey Seager, Josh Jung, Ezekiel Duran, Adolis Garcia, Wyatt Langford. I think these guys are all in play tonight. And they're guys I'd want to get in my lineup versus Crochet. So Texas is the top. I think Tim's probably going to be in line. We'll see. Maybe not. But, yeah. Tim, take it away.
I don't think I have Texas all the way on the top. I think I would go with them to Kung Fu Panda. And then I would put the White Sox in Big Game James.
So, Bobby, I'm not saying you're wrong. Absolutely not saying you're wrong. This Texas could be a great take, actually. I don't think anybody's playing them. I was looking at our, myself, Kirkwood, Kirkies, Kid Yahoo, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, SquirrelPatrol. We were all tasked with giving our top 5 stacks today. Only one person mentioned Texas. Only one person mentioned Texas. It was Squirrel, and he put him 5th. So they're well behind everybody else. And again, absolutely not saying you're wrong, but this is if you have conviction here, this is a great stand. I mean, if it works out, and I think it's all kind of murky. Whatever's in front of them, we'll have that conversation. But yeah, this is if you like Texas, I think you're going to get them relatively unowned. And people are kind of afraid of Crochet, but again, how long is he going to go? And he's also been shaky of late too. Just kind of jerking him around when it comes to his innings. Just shut the dude down. If you're not going to use him, if you're not going to trade him, you're not going anywhere. You're 70 games under 500, which is certifiably embarrassing. You should be relegated from the league. Call up the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's an interesting take, Bobby. I'm probably going to make a Texas stack too, just because I don't have a clear number one. I like the take. And that wasn't me like sucking up in any way. You didn't even prompt me to do it, but I do like the take. But also I agree that they should not be in the top tier. I was bringing you up to set you down. But, I mean, Big Hurt, that's a tough tier. And he is facing the Texas. They are facing the Big Hurt's former team, the one that most people remember him for. I guess he played with the A's as well. But yeah, Texas and Kung Fu Panda. And Tim, you Chicago, you have in Dark Knight. Is that where you put them? You agreed?
No, I put them all the way down to the bottom.
I think there are some usable pieces that are just like Corey Lee. He's got some home run ability. I'm not going to fully stack Chicago, but as like a mini, Jolks has some power and some speed historically. He's just crazy cheap. Haney, if you want to use the word leverage, he's going to be somewhat popular. I'm okay with some of these White Sox. I'm okay with Robert. Vaughn is fine, but Corey Lee is a punt catcher batting fifth that has some power. So he's usable to me. Vargas, I wish he wasn't buried in the lineup, but like we've seen him show, he has ability. It hasn't quite been there with Chicago and doesn't seem like he's happy to be there. Probably makes sense. Traded from LA to Chicago midseason. How many games did he lose in the standings? 90? I don't know. A lot. Anyways, we shall move on. Tim, this is your board. San Fran, Milwaukee, Logan Webb, Tobias Myers, 7.5 total. Coin toss here. Vegas throwing up their hands. No real favorite. Slight lean to Milwaukee. Probably not a hitter's paradise in this game. You tell me otherwise. Where do you have the Giants and the Brewers?
Yeah, both of these teams are in the Dark Knight for me. I'm pretty high on both these pitchers. It's only a 7.5 total. Both teams at 3.75. Really no interest in the Giants at all. I could make the argument they should be even lower because they're pretty expensive, that top half. So I'm really not into the Giants at all whatsoever. And then Logan Webb against the Brewers, he does such a good job keeping the ball on the ground. So I just have absolutely no interest in either one of these teams.
Bobby, what do you got for me?
I'm in agreement with Tim. I like the pitching. Myers, Webb. Both totals moved. I still like the pitching. I have to go with the Dark Knight.
By the way, you guys are going to be proud of me. I'm multitasking. I was on the clock in my friend's best ball league, right, for football. 13th round, Rico Dowdle's still available. These guys are some dolts, aren't they? What a steal that was. Taking candy from a baby. Come on. That's an incredible pick.
Speaking of stealing people. Speaking of stealing guys, Tim, thanks for the draft we had the other day, where I ended up right next to him, and Tim took everyone that he knew I liked.
Tim,
hey, I mean, it's a cutthroat league, Bobby. I'm sorry,
You guys found yourself next to each other in a DraftKings NFL best ball, right? I believe break next to each other, like 5'6" or 12'11". What was it?
No,
we had like one space in between.
I was 10 and you.
No, I was 10. You were 12.
I was 12. You were 10. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tim, you know how I say I tell Bobby everything is not personal, but you made it personal with Bobby. Like you were taking players that wouldn't even help out your team, but you're just
one pick was personal. The rest of it wasn't. I mean, I took Tank Dell for no reason, just because I knew he wanted him. And I started laughing afterwards, and then I got a bunch of obscenities thrown at me in Slack chat. So, yeah, that was pretty.
Rightfully so.
I enjoyed myself.
The chat is calling you ruthless tides. By the way, it's no longer tasteless tides.
Yeah.
Or tasteful. Yeah. Well, it could be tasteless tides too. I don't know where that came from. Yeah. It's not tasteful tides. It's tasteless tides or ruthless tides. And Derek is also saying you are ruthless, but. Yeah, well, it's a best ball. It's a cutthroat business. That's just how it goes these days. Butto is saying Tank Dell is a bust anyways. Oh, wow. Hopefully that's not true. I think that's one of your biggest stands, right, Bobby? I'm pretty sure.
I think he's my highest owned player on both sites. Pretty sure.
I have a lot of Dell as well. So hopefully Butto is not on the right side of history here. Bobby, we got the Marlins. The Marlins taking on the Rockies. Roddery Munoz taking on Cal Quantrill. An 11 total, despite how terrible these offenses are. The Vegas is telling us the ballpark is better. The pitchers are worse. Roddery Munoz, despite throwing baseballs in Miami, one of the best ballparks for baseballs, one of the best ballparks as far as suppressing homers, 2.55 homers per 9. That is the biggest number on the board as far as the slate by far. Next is Jeffrey Springs in a small sample at 1.64 homers per 9. Now, homer to fly ball, 20.2%, a little bit unlucky. So he's got a 6 ERA and the Sierra's at 5.05. So whatever. But a lot of fly balls, a lot of walks, 11.2%, not a ton of Ks, 19%. It's a bad recipe for going in the course. But again, that Colorado lineup is not spectacular. Still lacking some of their better hitters. Cave led off yesterday. He's batting 6 today. Jay Cave is, I think, the oldest looking 29-year-old. If we can get a picture of graybeard Jay Cave, you would never guess he's 29, but I believe he's just 29. Bobby, where are we putting the Marlins and the Rockies?
I think they're going to the top spot. The Big Hurt. Big Hurt. Yeah, he's an old looking guy. Everyone's 29, Dean, though. Isn't that the line they use in your movie there with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney? Everyone's 29.
Oh, well, that's
the
first of all,
rom-com.
Anything but love, or anyone but love, or anyone but you. Is that? I think
Anyone
you're a
But
fan
You.
of that movie. I do like Glenn Powell. And as a rom-com, it's fine. It's not. It was. I didn't really love it, but I thought you watched it. I thought you gave it multiple viewings. I felt like you were more of a stand for it than I was. But I
watched
do like
it a
Glenn
couple
Powell.
times. Yep, I watched it a couple.
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney's very easy on the eyes. I can't lie.
I've heard people say that.
But maybe Jay Cave's lying about his age. He's not really 29. You know, just throwing it out there.
He's like 39 years old out there.
Yeah. Rockies and Marlins, I'd just put them both in the Big Hurt. Like, it's Coors. McMahon, like him a good bit. Tovar up there at the top at 5. He's expensive, but it is Coors, right? McMahon at 4.9. Toglia down there at 5.2. Little reverse stack. Who knows? I don't mind the Rockies, and I'm fine with the Marlins as well. Team total 5.5. Jake Berger looks good. Connor Norby. Yeah, all these guys, I think they're all pretty good in this game. I get a little nervous with the Marlins, but it is Coors, so I think we can put them both in the Big Hurt.
What are we doing? I know in cash games we're playing Griffin Conine. He's batting 8th. I assume, Tim, if you're playing cash tonight, he's in your cash game lineup 2K in Coors.
Yeah.
27-year-old minor leaguer. Probably some nepotism going on here with Griffin Conine. Good for him for making his MLB debut. He did strike out last night in his official debut. First time cracking the lineup. Showed some power in the minors, but again, he's 27 years old facing 20-year-olds. He should hit the homers and sticking around. But where do we have the Marlins and the Rockies? I think I'm going to be under the field officially. I think it's kind of dicey chalk because these offenses stink. It's just to simplify it. But where do you have? They're both in the Big Hurt. Feel free to adjust or confirm.
Yeah, this one's a really tough one because the Rockies are really, really expensive. Like, I'm not paying $5K for Charlie Blackmon. I'm not paying 5-6 for Tovar. But there are certain pieces like Toglia, McMahon. I think Cave is interesting. So, like, they're more of like a mini for me. So for that reason, I'm going to put them in Kung Fu. And then I slightly prefer the Marlins, which is weird. So I'm going to put the Marlins in the Big Hurt. That's my take. Just because they're a lot cheaper, and I don't trust Cal Quantrill. So I kind of like them. I think I like the Marlins. Initially, I was on the Rockies. Now that I've really seen this lineup, I'm more on the Marlins.
Yeah, I like Tovar. Like you said, some of these guys are kind of strangely expensive. McMahon's fine, I guess. Rogers a tick up. He's not great, but he's fine. Toglia also 5.2 for Toglia. It's a Jacob Stallings revenge game if you're into that. He was terrible for the Marlins, but he saved all his homers when he's going to face them a year later. 3 games left to go until crunch time comes in. Crunch time coming in 10, 15 minutes or so. You got Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. You have SquirrelPatrol as well as Kevin Roth. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Let's see if we actually got a change as far as the weather. The update is still orange-yellow in St. Louis. You can read this at your own leisure. One last time, I should mention that the free contest we're running to get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Do check out the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump into the live stream chat channel. Take down the contest. By taking down the contest, I mean finish dead last in the contest. Make sure all your players play and wear the RG badge. While doing so, get yourself 2 weeks free of RG Premium. Mets, D-backs, Brandon Thought now throwing baseballs against Sean Manaea. Tim, the board is yours. Where do you have the Metropolitans and the D-backs?
Metropolitans are going to go right in the middle for me in Polar Bear. I think they are a strong enough team that they could get to Brandon Pfaadt, but I do have a lot of respect for Pfaadt as a pitcher. So they're middle of the road for me. And then I think Arizona's kind of the same. Like Shamanaya can flash an upside, and sometimes he could be absolutely horrible. So I think both these teams go in Polar Bear for me. Likely not going to get to any of these guys in cash games, and likely not going to get to either side in single entry.
Bobby?
Yeah, both teams are very mid. I would say that Polar Bear is the correct spot. So no rebuttal here.
All right. So both the Mets and the D-backs, and of course the Mets, that makes sense, right? Hanging out with the Polar Bear, at least until he signs somewhere else in the offseason. We'll see. Tampa and Seattle, Jeffrey Springs taking on Logan Gilbert. A 6.5 total here, Bobby. Seattle, pretty heavy favorite. Tampa's got a team total less than 3. That's not good. Gilbert versus Springs. Where are we putting the Mariners and the Rays, Bobby?
Throw Tampa in big game James. And for the Mariners, I might put the Mariners. I'll go Dark Knight for the Mariners.
Tim?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to do. Maybe you get a little bit of like leverage with the Mariners, but I do not really like them in this spot. So, and Tampa Bay definitely belongs in a big game, James.
I think we're still waiting for a Tampa lineup, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. We got the Mets. Mets, by the way, Lindor, Vientos hitting second. Nemo, Alonso, Winker, the flirter, Mr. Steal Your Girl. JD Martinez, Taylor, McNeil, and Alvarez. Alvarez in the 9-hole. Who's not playing? Marte, right? Okay, Marte's not in there. Kind of staring at that New York lineup. Okay. We still have one more game. We have crunch time coming in 5-10 minutes or so. We did it. I see a question in chat from Chip the Rip 23. Any homer calls? Well, that depends on if we have enough likes, right? Got to hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, do everything, do all those things. We have 226 votes in the poll. Something tells me, by the way, the poll is still at 69% Gilmore. Happy Gilmore. Of course it is. It's not budging. It's 69-31 for Dodgeball, more watchable movie. I bet something tells me we do not have 227 votes as far as thumbs up or likes, if you will. But please, kindly hit that like button so we can get some taters at it, Tim. I think you wanted to give one earlier. Tim, did you lock that one in, or you still have a couple left in the arsenal as far as some homer calls for the people?
Yeah, I got Jackson Merrill earlier, and then I'm looking for another one, but it's pretty ugly on the streets right now in terms of odds. I was hoping to get to some Dodgers, but their odds are really bad. I mean, they're too low.
What do you think? I know it's not in the slate, but what do you think Aaron Judge's line is to homer today? Have you looked at it?
I haven't looked at it. I've seen it though. Like recently, it's like 165,
150, 148 in FanDuel.
That's amazing. Yeah,
that's
amazing.
That is bonkers. That is pretty insane. Bobby, you got any homer calls to the people? A couple of Bobby bombs?
Let's go Corey Seager. I don't know the odds on it, but I like Texas tonight, so I'll throw him out there.
I love the Seager call, actually, because, he's starting left on left versus Crochet, and he's only going to face him twice. He probably gets 3 at-bats versus the bullpen. They had a lot of lefties working last night, for what it's worth for Chicago, but I think Seager is, super, super sneaky. King is telling me, a couple times to move Colorado down. To be clear, Steve does that. Steve is in control. My hands are up here. Steve works the board for us. I did not verbalize it, though, officially. So that was my bad. I didn't split the difference and make the call. But, yes, we did officially move Colorado down to Kung Fu Panda. It's wild. The Marlins are the only team currently up top all by themselves. Maybe that'll change. Tim, you tell us. Jack Flaherty at home versus Cole Irvin. Dodgers, O's, 8.5 total. Possible World Series, preview. You never know. Maybe. Where do you have Baltimore and the Dodgers, Tim?
I'm not really interested in rostering Jack Flaherty, but he is the excellent pitcher, even against this really, really tough Orioles lineup. So I'm going to go Orioles in Polar Bear. And then I am going to put the Dodgers. Steve is correct in the big hurt. They're my only other team that belongs in the top stacks section.
I was just thinking, like, the Dodgers starting versus lefties, they can do some lefty-righty stuff. A righty probably comes out of the bullpen. If Chris Taylor starts, he's really, really vulnerable to get the hook after 2 at-bats. Kike Hernandez is another guy that's vulnerable as well. Shout out to Jason Hayward, by the way. He got picked up, I think, by Houston. The Dodgers cut him a couple weeks ago, or not that long ago, whatever it was. Just they had to make room with all the guys coming back. We're currently not projecting Muncy in for LA, but we'll see. Left on left against Irvin. Where do we have the Dodgers and Baltimore? Do we agree with Tim?
I'm in agreement with Tim. I like the Dodgers up in the big hurt. Orioles, Polar Bear, like they have a great offense. It is versus Flaherty. He has been good. I'm not pitching Flaherty at 10K. Would prefer Gilbert. Also would prefer Schwellenbacher. They're just a very good offense, the Orioles, so it's tough to attack them with guys like Gunnar. For me, it's going to be the Dodgers up top and the Orioles and Polar Bear.
I think Baltimore is kind of interesting, but yeah, I probably won't full stack them, but as like a little mini, I don't mind Jackson Holiday either. I still think he's not really priced to what his talent is. Of course, his talent is not fully realized. I think he's only 20. Maybe he's 21. We did get the Dodgers lineup, by the way. Muncy in, Freddie out. No Freddie, left on left. Otani, Betts, Teoscar, Will Smith, Edman in the 5-hole, Rojas, Muncy, Kike Enrique Hernandez, and then Chris Taylor is batting 9th. But, I don't know what the official number is, but I would say there's a pretty big number on Taylor's pinch hit risk. Take a few minutes and answer some questions in chat before we get to crunch time. They should be coming in here shortly, but let's recap the board. And it looks for those that like a board that looks kind of the same up and down, it kind of works. The big hurt, Frank Thomas has 2 teams, the Marlins and the Dodgers. Kung Fu Panda, Pablo Sandoval's got Boston, Toronto, Texas, Colorado, Polar Bear. It's got the Braves, San Diego. Of course, it has the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and Baltimore. Matt Harvey, Dark Knight, St. Louis, the White Sox, Milwaukee, San Fran, and Seattle. And all the way at the bottom, big game, James Shields, which, by the way, this wasn't planned. He played for Tampa, and I think he played for Minnesota. Did James Shields play for Minnesota at the end of his career? Were we stacking against him on Minnesota? He definitely played the predominant, big chunk of his career for Tampa. It just kind of worked out there. Did James Shields play for Minnesota? Somebody confirm or deny that. But, yeah. All right.
I think he had a pit stop in Minnesota.
Yeah, a cup of coffee, right? I think so. If only we had a machine we could type this into to confirm or deny. I'm pretty sure that did happen, though. Look at that. It just sort of worked out that way. The White Sox is, I think, when we really started hammering them in DFS. Oh, maybe not Minnesota. I'm seeing Kansas City, cup of coffee in San Diego. I don't think he played for Minnesota. I might have made that up. All right.
I thought he played for Minnesota. Maybe I'm mixing up Minnesota and KC then.
I thought he did too, but it's the Mandela effect, I suppose. Butto's got a question for Tim. Springs, Manaea, or Heaney for DK Cash? Springs, Manaea, or Heaney?
I think it's Springs.
All right. Crunch time is here, so we might as well bring him in. Some of the best in the business. Actually, the best in the business. Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. We got John Breslin. You guys know him as SquirrelPatrol, and, of course, the greatest DFS meteorologist in all the business. It is Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. It is crunch time. Here they come right now. Roth, the people in chat are giving you your props for did you suggest betting unders on Ober yesterday? You knew Ober was going to give up 9 runs in the first 2 innings. It was a hell of a call.
Nice. It was wild that it was a 90-minute delay, and the other pitcher, who had already been out there for like 40 pitches or so, he went back out, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, Ober, I don't know if we can take weather credit for that. I don't think he was lasting much longer, delay or not.
He got his what was the word? Channel caked. He got fully channel caked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mollywopped, shellacked, whatever adjective you want to use. It was a rough. Yeah, you take out like 2 starts for Ober this year, and his ERA drops like a full run. He's had a lot of really good starts and a couple really, really disastrous ones. Roth, you came at me last night on Twitter. Tim came at me last night on Twitter, but I'm going to forgive all that. We're all in the same thread. I don't know if you know this, but I'm in the minority. That was today's poll. If you're seeing the poll, more watchable movie, Happy Gilmore or Dodgeball. And I'm taking the L. I'm in the minority on this. I still stand by my take. But you basically called me a big old dope on Twitter, which is fine. It's not personal. But, yeah, you're a stand for the Happy Gilmore, which is fine.
Wait, how did the poll go? How did the poll vote?
70% happy, 69%. I shouldn't round up. 69% Happy Gilmore, 31%. Not better movie, more rewatchable, which is a little bit.
No, it's just like Dodgeball is a fine movie, but Happy Gilmore is a true classic. It is a part of our childhood and our eventual adulthood. Like, I don't know how anyone could pick Dodgeball over Happy Gilmore in any format, in any way, shape, or form. Absolutely crazy.
Well, 30% say otherwise.
Yeah, they're crazy.
All right. Anything else? Did anybody else have an opinion? By all means, Squirrel or Dave, feel free to chime in.
I don't have a strong take. Chalk, and I'm eating the chalk with Happy Gilmore.
It's good chalk. All right, fair enough. Kevin, we do have some weather to get to.
I will say, let me say this, just because apparently there was a fight about it. I didn't know. I have no strong take and no strong lean, but I clicked the button for Dodgeball.
Oh, there we go, Dave. All right. Did we just become best friends?
What I went for is, like, in the 2 seconds I looked at it, if I had to watch one of these tonight, what would I watch? I would have watched Dodgeball last night.
That was the point I was trying to make. That's all I was trying to say. Tim, who's not been on Twitter since like 1972, chimed in. He felt the need. He had such a take, and he came at me, which is fine. I'm not. You can't tell on my face. I'm not upset about it. I'm over it. And we definitely slept perfectly fine last night. No issues. But Roth, there is some weather to discuss for St. Louis, so we probably should yield and get out of here for the 9-gamer. Myself, Tim, and Bobby, do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Do hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Also, again, jump in the Discord, join that free contest, get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Make sure you do not roster players that get ringed out. They have to play players that aren't playing. And, of course, you're playing for the bottom. It's low ball. You want the lowest possible score. For myself and Tim and Bobby, do appreciate y'all. We're going to get out of here. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You do know the drill. It is crunch time, and it is two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood in the house. What up, Cheese?
Oh, not much. Happy Tuesday. Great slate. I like as long as you tell me I can play bats in St. Louis, it is a great slate. Otherwise, it's not a great slate. So it's up to you, really, if it's great or not.
Well, you can do whatever you want. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a bit.
Do whatever you want.
We got Squirrel in the house as well, who, by the way, I believe fresh off of a live final. Where was this live final?
Chicago. So I just got back from Chicago over the weekend. It's great to be there. It's good. Met some people that say they watch the show. So if you're watching, howdy. But yeah, it was a good time. Finished fourth in the DK baseball final. So finished second and fourth past 2 seasons.
I think it's hilarious. People in years past have criticized others for chasing live final seats. And it's something that you do. You love going to live finals. You love chasing them. And you have ridiculous success at these events, right? Is that luck or is that skill?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, right? I mean, it's always a little bit of both, right? But I'm probably outperforming my expectation. But it's always a good time anyway. I do think there's been some valid complaints or inquiries about how the trip is valued. If you're kind of super into the weeds of are you getting value versus the tax reported value of the trip or something that's valid.
Sure.
Discussions that go on. But it is still a good time. So I enjoy going.
Very nice. And would you mind telling how much you won with the fourth place finish?
So it was 175,000, but I already had 15,000 that went into getting additional seats. So so it's probably really 160.
Pretty good.
And I won the guest contest too, which is 1,000 DK bucks, and Mrs. SquirrelPatrol finished second. And then I found out the next day I wasn't really supposed to play the guest contest. It was just for guests. I thought it was everybody enters.
Oh man, I was actually wondering about that when I saw that.
You got to get back to 500.
Are you the only one who did that? Surely someone else did that too.
No. It was about 50% of the entrants, like
Okay.
also contestants also entered the guest contest. Not it was ambiguous. They just sent out a link and said like, this is for the guests. Please don't like distribute it widely. But I assumed it meant like, this is a contest that you can play in with the guests too.
Yeah, you're a guest. You were their guest for that. That makes sense.
That was my interpretation.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You can just give me the $500 if you feel guilty about it. That would be fine. Let's dive into this slate here. By the way, LMI in the chat says, hey, nice job at the live final, Squirrel. I ended up 14th and 86th, but took 3rd and 6th on the Showdown extra slate. Nice. So there you go.
That also paid out like pretty well. So.
Nice. Very good. All right, let's talk about the weather. There is only one game on the slate that matters. We've got a late start in Detroit, but that's not on the slate. Nobody cares. If you do care, that game's going to play fine after the late start. So no worries there. But the game that matters, and really the only place where anything could go wrong, is in St. Louis. And the truth is, I don't even feel guilty telling you, I don't know what's going to happen there. And there's nothing I can do about that. There's going to be pop-up storms. I think the likely outcome is it works out, whether that's that the storms fire just southwest or that they move in and you get a delay and the game finishes. I think that's the likely outcome. But there's a legit chance that the storms go over the ballpark and they're barely moving and the game gets called, suspended in the second inning. Like that could legitimately happen. So in my mind, sorry, Cheese. So in my mind, like if you want to play this, if you want to do it in tournaments, go for it. I don't see anything wrong with it as long as you are aware that a legitimate, like the low end outcome here is 0. Like that could happen. And there's just, I'll look again before that game's first pitch to see if radar's telling me anything or showing me anything. But I don't think I'm going to know more than I know right now, which quite frankly isn't a whole hell of a lot. And that's just the nature of these kinds of storms. And that's it. That's the best I can do. So that's
to
it.
Reiterate,
yeah.
More likely than not, you think they get 9 innings of baseball one way or another.
Correct. Yep, I do.
That's all I need.
Yep. I
and
think
you
that
will
is.
Tell me later if you change your mind on that.
Yeah, I will. If I see something that is pretty alarming before first pitch, I'll let you know. But that's essentially where I'm at.
And for the record, I'm going with weather.com on this because it's not raining at all.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Okay, yeah. Brandon points out, hey, any comments on why other models disagree so strongly? Other sites, weather.com, are very certain on no rain. That's just, yeah. I don't, you can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot. Yeah, I don't like their future weather. I don't think it's very good. So I don't believe their forecast is the bottom line. And that's that. That's all I've got.
So yeah. It's a dry now situation, but storms could roll in. They're moving slowly. We don't know if they'll roll in. We know when they would roll in if they do.
I don't, I'll correct you on, I don't think roll in is really the right word. They're just going to pop up and maybe they'll pop up over this, they're not like I can watch them on radar and track them. They're just going to pop up and that could be over the ballpark and it might not. So because of that, I don't really have a time frame for you. It could happen early to middle part of it could literally happen anytime in the game. So yeah. Fun. I know it's good times. Bermuda Dude says, you must predict weather in Houston. I do. Yeah, that's actually accurate. Yes. Okay, let's kick the weather to the side here and discuss what we're doing pitcher-wise. Cheese, you can lead us off.
All right. So essentially, I have an 8 pitcher pool on both sites, which with kind of the bulk of it being a little bit smaller than that. The way I see it is there are 5 aces kind of on the high end being like 9,000 above 9,500 on FanDuel and above 8,700 on DK, and then 3 cheaper pitchers. Everyone should know who these guys are without me saying anything else, but I will say the names anyway. At the high end, Logan Gilbert is like the cash game play and probably the chalk in tournaments, but I don't think anyone is like massive chalk. I'm a little underweight on him in tournaments because Jack Flaherty, Dylan Cease, and Spencer Schwellenbach have higher best case scenario upside. But if you're playing kind of an off the wall offense, I think it's fine to just play Gilbert. I'm lowest on Logan Webb out of those top 5. I have very little. I think he's like great and fine, and I won't be stunned if he's the highest scoring pitcher. But essentially, like all 5 of those guys are really close, and I just prefer the ones who have more what I like to call best case scenario ceiling. Like Cease, Flaherty, and Schwellenbach are the guys who could strike out 15 batters if they're just on and everything's working. That's never likely, but it's possible. And then the 3 cheaper guys, Sean Manaea, Jeffrey Springs, Andrew Heaney. Manaea is not really cheaper on FanDuel, but on DK, all 3 of those guys are cheaper. I like Manaea the best. Heaney second, and Springs kind of a distant third. And I think the ownership is the opposite of that, which is perfect. I think Springs and Heaney pick up the most, followed by Manaea. So I'm just flipping it. I'm going Manaea, then Heaney, then Springs. But essentially, out of those 8 pitchers, you could rank them absolutely any which way you wanted to, and I wouldn't argue with you.
Wow. Okay. And nobody else, no randoms that
not a single one. There's every single lineup, both sides, just those pitchers.
Okay, that's fair. Squirrel, I want to bring you in. It seems like we have lots of options, and I'm curious how widely scattered your lineups are, or if you're lock buttoning some of these dudes.
No, so actually, I've been advocating all season for like spending down a pitcher, but this is a day that's a little bit different. And I wrote this in an expert survey and in my article. I think some of it actually comes down to the fact that like Aaron Judge isn't on the slate, like Bobby Witt's not on the slate, like Jordan Alvarez, like Juan Soto, like a bunch of the hitters we wanted to spend up for all season are not on the slate. The guy that's kind of left is Shohei Ohtani, but the Dodgers are facing a left-hander. He's had like kind of a more aggressive splits this season where he's not hitting left-hand. He's like human versus left-handers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably not worth spending up for unless you really have the salary and you're trying to be different. So actually, I don't see the reason to spend up at pitcher or spend down a pitcher rather, especially because we do have an assortment of good pitchers at the top. So like Logan Gilbert is going to be the highest owned, and he's like the safest. And I do like the idea of like going under the field on Logan Gilbert if he's seeing like 45% ownership. But I want to spread that out among like Dylan Cease and hope the game plays, and that might be more of a larger field tournament now with the weather. But spread that out to like Schwellenbach, spread it out to like some Jack Flaherty, maybe even some Brandon Pfaadt, who midday replacement. But I don't, and I think you can play like Sean Manaea. And if you need the salary, you can play like Andrew Heaney and Jeffrey Springs. I like the idea of not needing the salary because I don't have the bats I want to spend up for.
Yeah. Okay. Who's your highest owned pitcher right now?
It's probably going to be Gilbert, but I'm probably going to be under the field. And I'm going to aim to have like kind of as much Schwellenbach and maybe even as much Cease, depending on the price point of the tournament, as I have Gilbert. Whereas I think the ownership of Gilbert is going to overall be much higher.
Okay, and then can you walk me through FanDuel really quick? Because maybe things are a little different. You only need one pitcher there, and you've got a lot of options.
It is actually not as different as it often is, just because like there's just this assortment of like high price pitchers. Like the prices aren't that different. But I think it's more of a toss up amongst like Gilbert, Flaherty, Cease, Schwellenbach. Who's going to be the highest scorer? I'm lowest on Logan Webb. But I think it's like a toss-up amongst those 4. Who's going to be the highest scoring? They're all about the same price, and I think Logan Gilbert's going to see way more ownership. So.
Yeah. Okay. So just play one of those higher-priced good pitchers on FanDuel, essentially, and don't be too worried about ownership.
Yeah, and I think that the advice would be like if you're playing some kind of like Marlin, you maybe don't want to pair a bunch of Logan Gilbert with like Marlins with Dodgers or something like highly owned stacks, go with one of the lower owned pitchers. Like higher owned stacks, maybe go with one of the lower. Higher owned stacks go with one of the lower owned pitchers. Lower owned stacks go with like Logan Gilbert.
Got it. Okay, very good. Good stuff, guys. Let's kick it over to some of those stacks, some of the higher and lower owned stacks, and you can kind of start us off in that department, Squirrel.
Yeah, so the Marlins are facing the Rockies in Coors Field, so it's a matchup of two pretty bad offenses that we haven't won to play all season. The Rockies.
I was surprised when you were like the Marlins, and then they were the chalk. I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Huh? What is happening?"
That have to be in Coors Field, but they are.
That makes sense.
And they're pretty cheap. They're maybe a little bit more expensive on FanDuel relative to like other stacks, but on DraftKings, like they're really cheap. They only have one hitter that's really expensive that you'd really want, and that's Jake Berger. But the rest are so cheap that you can fit in Berger with the other cheap Marlins. And they're facing Cal Quantrill, who's like not great. He hasn't been particularly bad, like worse at Coors Field this season. It's his first year at Coors. I think the Marlins are going to be the chalk, probably followed by the Dodgers. I kind of like the Rockies. I think the Rockies are not going to see like dramatically higher ownership than the rest of the teams, but like the guy they're facing, Rodri Munoz, has just been awful. He's a rookie. Hasn't looked like he belongs in the major leagues. He's giving up a ton of home runs. So I like the Rockies. And then in terms of like cheaper stacks, I kind of want to be over the field on the White Sox. They've lost like 1 billion games this year, but they're really inexpensive. I think Andrew Heaney's going to see some ownership, and they're really. I think it's a buy low spot. I'll say that. That we play like a salary considered game. They're really cheap. So if you play like a mini like White Sox stack or even a full White Sox stack, you're kind of don't have to worry about ownership, and you can spend up on anything else you want.
Okay. To quote Dean, we do indeed live in the world of a salary cap. Cheese.
Wise man once said.
Yeah, exactly. Cheese, let's walk through your favorite stacks and just kind of start me at the top. Is there chalk stacks? What do you like? I guess you like something happening in St. Louis.
Yeah, I kind of think the real answer is there's no chalk.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like Squirrel said, Dodgers and Marlins, maybe throw some Red Sox in there, but essentially, no. I think you play whoever you want. There's no chalk, period. That's my answer. There is no chalk.
Okay.
I definitely prefer the Rocky side of that Coors Field game, like by a lot. I'm fine with the Dodgers and the Red Sox. My favorite team is the Padres. They're in that St. Louis game. I also like the Rangers a good bit. And the Braves a little bit.
Okay. Probably worth noting in that St. Louis game, the hitting weather is tremendous. It's hot. It's humid. It's great weather for hitting if it goes the whole game. And again, it likely will, but it is the only game on the slate with any risk. So if you have no risk tolerance, just pick literally any other game.
Or just look at that other website and it's no risk. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Just go to weather.com and then you're good. You'll see a 0% chance of rain and you'll feel pretty good about playing those guys tonight. Put the fork down says, is Munoz viable? Squirrel, is that the dude who you said does not look like a major league pitcher?
Yeah, I will say that every once in a while you just end up talking about how like this guy's got nothing going for him and he goes out and throws a no-hitter. So it's possible. He is probably the last pitcher like I would pick today.
Okay. All right. If you're running 150 lineups, you may have one or two, but you're not excited about that one. Okay, good stuff, guys. I think it's time to go around the horn, talk position by position, and Cheese, you get to lead us off with a little catcher talk.
All right. So the positions have sort of swapped the last few days. Like all of a sudden, like first base and third base have like come roaring back. And that's kind of where we are again today. Essentially, Will Smith is kind of the only guy you kind of want to play. And he's not that expensive, $4,800. I think like Danny Jansen is at 34 is my favorite cheap guy. I don't mind punting all the way to Corey Lee. Like Squirrel mentioned the cheap White Sox. I think he's one of the most useful ones because you're not missing much at catcher. If you're not playing Smith, it's kind of like you're just hoping you get anything. So that's a position I don't mind punting at all. I also have our old friend Cal Raleigh.
Nice. Okay. Squirrel, your thoughts at catcher?
Yeah, I think it's Will Smith is the only guy really worth mentioning. I mean, like Big Dumper is always appealing. It's just, he gets so much worse at home, and it's because it's a good park for pitchers. It's tough to get there. I love playing him on the road. I don't love playing him at home. And then the value guys, Corey Lee, Danny Jansen, Alejandro Kirk. I think it's a better day for value than it is for ice.
Okay, then how about first base?
Yeah, I think Jake Berger is probably my favorite first baseman. Michael Toglia, those are the Coors Field guys. You can play Shohei Ohtani. He's just outrageously expensive. It's so difficult for him to pay off his price. Like if you have 7,000 laying around on your salary cap, then by all means play Shohei Ohtani. That's going to be difficult for him to pay off that price. If you're looking for value, probably like Romy Gonzalez or Andrew Vaughn. Like I said, I like getting the White Sox.
Okay, Cheese, your thoughts at first.
Yeah, I like a lot of they're fairly expensive on DK, and nothing's really that expensive on FanDuel. I mean, like Berger and Guerrero are expensive-ish, I guess. But like on DK, I think I have one Ohtani lineup just for fun, but essentially I would be fine not playing him. My favorite of the kind of spend-up guys are Toglia and Pete Alonso. Cronenworth is my favorite in the mid-tier, with probably Vaughn being the only real cheap guy I'm playing on any regular basis. That's about it. I think you could play like 15 guys here, and I think it's viable, but those are my main group.
Okay, second base, Cheese.
So this is definitely the dead spot on DraftKings. It's pretty ugly. Like Connor
not
Norby
chalk again. Not the Norby chalk.
I'm proud of myself for not being one of those dots. Like I'm not going to do it. Get out of here. But like he is the best play. Like because there's nothing here. That's the thing. Yeah. It's not that anyone loves Norby. It's that there's nothing here. And to be fair, the guy does have power. Like he's kind of like a little Dylan Moore. Like he hits the ball in the air. He's going to hit some home runs. So he's really not a bad play. It's just weird chalk. If salary is no thing, I'm going to say Semien is my favorite here. Brendan Rodgers is fine. David Hamilton is fine. It's all kind of fine. And then we come back to this, like, maybe you should just play a cheap nonsense White Sox bat with Lennon Sosa and spend all your money somewhere else, because you're not really getting anything here unless Chalk Norby hits a home run.
Yeah. Okay. Squirrel, your thoughts a second. You on that Norby chalk?
Yeah, Norby was like the big differentiator for me on July 5. He hit a home run.
Was he really?
Yeah.
For real? That's amazing.
But he was not in Coors then, so that was a sneakier play there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was in Miami. But he's more likely probably to hit a home run in Coors Field. So actually, you know what? You could differentiate yourself with some Otto Lopez, who is just 1,000 more expensive and hitting fifth for Miami. So I actually think like Norby probably will be overowned and Otto Lopez will be underowned. Mm-hmm. If you are trying to play, like Coors Field second baseman on the Marlins. I don't mind the idea of like getting to Marcus Semien. And actually, I think Romy Gonzalez is a good play. He's like actually 800 cheaper than Connor Norby, so that's like significant savings. And if you could find something to do with $800, that $800, it could benefit your life.
Sure. Okay, take me to third base.
Third base, Matt Chapman is actually one of my favorite plays on the day. Jake Berger, Connor Norby is also third base eligible. I do like Ryan McMahon. That Roderick Munoz has had particular trouble with left-handed hitters. So like McMahon, if you're trying to save some money, Addison Barger with Toronto or Lennon Sosa with the White Sox, both significantly cheaper than Norby.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at third.
Definitely love Ryan McMahon. I mean, you can certainly make the case that Munoz is the worst pitcher in the league against lefties in any ballpark. Especially on FanDuel, like he's too cheap. It's kind of silly. But it's a loaded enough position that like you don't have to play him. You can play Vlad or Berger for a little bit more, like Machado a good bit. I also think Chapman is interesting. And this is not the position I want to punt because I like all that stuff up top.
Okay. Then I think we go to shortstop, Cheese.
It's a super tricky shortstop game because we do have a few of the big names, but they all have tougher matchups. Like Gunnar Henderson's against Flaherty, Seager's at least half a game against Crochet, Lindor against Fott. Mookie Betts on FanDuel is a shortstop, but he is not anymore on DK. So we're kind of stuck with like, I think Tovar and Lindor kind of at the top on DK, which is fine. But it's not your usual just have to spend up at shortstop day. And like, I think it's fine to play some like Tommy Edman. I've got a little Tyler Fitzgerald as well. And I also don't mind throwing random cheap guy in my stack, more so than usual at shortstop. But again, that changes a little bit on FanDuel when you add Mookie Betts to that mix.
Okay. Squirrel, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, shortstop. I think the top end options: Ezekiel Tovar, Francisco Lindor. I still don't mind the Mets. I like them much more when they were facing the left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez. But I think there's like some sneakiness to playing the Mets still on the road. They hit much better on the road, and they get the ninth inning at bats. Play Tyler Fitzgerald. It's still a pretty good position, even though Bobby Witt's not on the slate. I think Tommy Edman is like the best value play by far, 3,400. Maybe Geraldo Perdomo is leading off at 3,200 for the Diamondbacks.
Okay. Then we get to go to the outfield. What do you like, Squirrel?
So at the outfield, in the outfield, I think I like Mookie Betts more than Shohei Ohtani today. And that's not even like considering the price. Teoscar Hernandez is probably even better, like point per dollar. Tyler O'Neill and Jesus Sanchez probably like round out like the top plays. I guess that actually I throw Darren Duran into that mix as well. Value plays, Griffin Conine. I think they're talking about him. He's the son of Jeffrey Conine. Addison Barger, good value play. I'd probably rather get up to like Mike Yastrzemski if I can for the value, or Tommy Edman.
Okay, good. Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield?
The spend ups are okay. My two favorites are Ozuna and Tyler O'Neill. Mid tier, my favorites are Jackson Merrill and Profar, Luis Robert and Adolis Garcia, and Brandon Nimmo. On DK, definitely Conine is the kind of the go-to punt, and he'll be popular, but probably not like it's not one of those slates where you just have to have punts. So it's not like he's going to be 50% owned. So I do have a bunch of him. That's all I'm going to mention. Those are the standouts. There's 5,000 outfielders though, if you want more.
Yeah. Okay. Did see someone say, can I go double cheap at pitcher? And I feel like, Squirrel, you don't even want to go single cheap at pitcher all that much. So you're not down with that double cheap build, are you?
I mean, that's going to be different. And if it's like the large field contest, then that's going to be very different. It's going to be a very different build. I just don't know what you're doing with the money. But, you know, if you're like sticking Ohtani and Mookie Betts into your lineup and Ohtani hits like 3 home runs and he's not going to be very highly owned, then it's conceivable. Like that's going to be a low owned roster construction.
Okay, that's fair. KC says weather issues in Detroit. They are delayed to start. Yeah, that was as expected. They're in a late start. I do expect they'll play, and that's that there. I don't think they'll have any in-game issues. Let's do some home run calls, and you guys can think of that while I pay the bills real quick. Make sure you're signing up for RG Premium. We have just such quality stuff that you guys are not even aware exists if you're not an RG Premium member. NFL Premium for the season is now available. And if you are a non-premium user, you can get $100 off your NFL Premium subscription. All you have to do is click through the banner on RG. You can also get a 6-month combo sub exclusive price, $469.99. That'll save you $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. 1 month of RG combo premium is $120. And if you just want to dip your toesies in the water, 3-day pass is $19.99. That is an absolute steal. If you're thinking about signing up for RG Premium, you don't have to pay for 6 months worth. All you got to do is pay for the 3 days. And I think it will sell itself if you do that. And you see all the tools that we have kind of behind the scenes. So make sure you're checking that out. Cheese, give us some bombs.
Up top, we'll go Tyler O'Neill. And Ryan McMahon. He's kind of up top / mid-tier. Griffin Conine, cheap. And we'll also throw in Jake Cronenworth.
Okay. Squirrel, you got some squirrel nuts for me?
I'm gonna do two like kind of back-to-back home run calls. Actually, I don't know if like it's necessarily back-to-back. Two mate duos. Andrew Vaughn and Luis Robert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, they're not back to back. Please try again.
Yeah. So I tried to modify it. And then Connor Norby and Jake Berger.
Okay, are they back to back?
Back to back. He got that one.
That one counts. That one is confirmed. Okay. Let's see. We have a stupid amount of time. We have like 23 minutes, I think, until lock, which will give plenty of time for y'all to get your questions in. They can be about baseball, they can be about food, or they can be about animals. That's right. I'm opening it up to random animal questions as well, just because
I still need squirrel and the bird feeder help. So we'll get to that shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Not you, but the actual other one, the big furry one.
Yeah, the actual animal getting in the bird feeder. Let's see what we've got here. I'm going to start in the RG Discord. That's where the cool kids hang out. If you haven't signed up for RG Discord, you should. I start taking questions from there, and it's just a great community. We're always in there hanging out, answering questions. Scrolling up a wee bit. FanDuel single entry. What's the stack? Jay says, what's the stack, Cheese, for you? It's San Diego, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And Squirrel for you? I don't know.
Colorado.
I'm not sure. What is it?
Colorado.
All right. There you go. Let's see what else we've got. Squirrel, can you talk straight up Hilliard versus Edman for a 5-2 Colorado LAD versus a 4-3 Colorado LAD?
Sorry. Couldn't just repeat the question.
It was essentially Hilliard versus Edman.
I would go Edman.
Okay. Peter would like a refresher on animal urination times. Did you know that a mouse and an elephant and every animal in between pees for roughly the same time, despite the vast differences in the size of their bladders? Isn't that freaking incredible? It takes a mouse and a cat and a dog and a freaking elephant the same amount of time to pee. Isn't that insane?
It makes sense. It's fluid dynamics.
Yeah. That's it. And it's something evolutionary where like you don't want to pee too long because then the predator, whatever predator's out there, probably not much for an elephant, will get you. So there's like a baked in time, evolutionary time that is the right amount.
That's why I go for as long as I go, because of the boogeyman.
Right. You never know, man. You don't want to look too long. Brandon says, did you go to the zoo with a stopwatch? No. But the person who discovered that interesting tidbit won a Nobel Prize essentially for that study, for learning about animal pee times. It's one of my favorite facts ever. Steve says, hey, we've got a golf show starting right after this. So if questions do run dry, like Boys to Men, if the river runs dry, feel free to, we might dip out a minute or two early just so we can get that golf show loaded up. Let's see what we've got. More questions. I think they're about baseball, not bladders. Roth, I'm going to risk a few San Diego stacks in the rain game. If I lose them, so be it. But do you think it will start dry? DK20 Max. I do. I think it's likely to start dry. If it doesn't, then we might want to change our minds about just like, it'll probably work out. If it doesn't start dry, I'd be a little bit Dean, I'd be a little bit worried if they late start. Well, we'd have to see what radar looks like. Dean says we're planning on power ranking animal pee times tomorrow. Yeah, you can't now. You can't. They're all
everyone in the mid tier.
Everybody's mid tier. What do we got? Cheese, thoughts on a Toronto stack FanDuel single entry?
I do like them. They are in my top. I forget the number exactly. 7 or 8 stacks. They're in that group. Yes.
Okay. Scrolling down. DK Cash, Cheese. Do you still feel good about Heaney and Cash? Parentheses. He mentioned it in his article. Shout out to A. Soren for reading the Musings, which is one of the best articles in the biz.
So I'm fine with it, but as the more you build, the more you don't really need it. So I would go up for 2 in Cash. I would do Gilbert and Schwellenbach personally. If you want to do Webb or something, that's fine. But the short answer is yes, I'm still fine with him if you need the cheap pitcher in Cash.
Okay. Are Cheese and Squirrel offering any DFS teaching services on the side? DM him. I'm gonna guess yes. Hit him with a slide into the Twitter DMs there. Let's see. FanDuel single entry Squirrel Cronenworth or Willie Smith?
I'd probably go Will Smith.
Okay.
It hurts
DK.
my soul. It's not a bad answer, but it
hurts.
hurts.
Yeah. The P quotes and statistics that are coming in are pretty wild right now. Thank you. Thanks for that, Peter. FanDuel. So here we go. DK Cash Squirrel in the outfield. Varsho, Sanchez, Arozarena.
Sorry, DK Cash, Varsho, Sanchez. Oh, I'd go Sanchez.
Okay. Did we answer Hilliard versus Edmund straight up? The question's been asked like 7 times.
I'd go Edmund.
Okay. What else do we have here? Cheese, DK, GPP, Otani, Merrifield, or Casas and Berger?
Casas and Berger.
Yeah, those are 2 of our favorite names to say. We like Mikasa Sukasa. We like burgers. It's the right choice. FanDuel GPP, Cheese, The Sims is stacking San Francisco. What do you think of stacking the Giants? And in saying so, what do you think about the Sims? We will learn.
So the Giants didn't quite make my first 20 lineups, but they did make my first 30. So take that what you will. I'm okay with them.
Okay.
And still, I don't have time to use the Sims. So I'm sure they're great, but I'm so busy with the way I do things that I don't know.
Right. Well, when you hand build, it takes up all of your day. Whereas if you use the Sims, you would then have time to use the Sims. That's the irony.
But then I wouldn't know what my lineups are.
That makes it tough. What do we got here? FanDuel 2v2, Squirrel, Norby and Grichik, or Edmund and Cronenworth?
I'm guessing I'm gonna go with the Norby.
Okay. What do we got?
I might be biased. So.
Yeah, we do like a Norby. DKGPP Squirrel, is Gilbert, does he look better with no Brandon Lau and a weaker Tampa Bay lineup?
I mean, he looked good, really good no matter what. It's just a question of ownership, and I would. It's tougher to get away from him on DraftKings where you have to take 2 pitchers. I think he's fine for single entry. Like, don't necessarily feel like you need to play something different than Logan Gilbert just because he's going to be highly owned.
Yep. Okay. Carolina guy says, "Cheese, your favorite FanDuel GPP in a small field stack to win it all." Does that change your answer? Because initially it was San Diego.
It is now San Diego.
Okay, that's good. It's kind of what I assumed, but I had to ask the question. Crazy Coop says, for SP and DP, I don't know what these things mean. With MLB
SquirrelPatrol bots.
I mean,
that's our band name.
That's fair. That's fair. Those are their names. With MLB winding down, what did you find most difficult to navigate this MLB season? And which tendency did you wish you would have caught on to quicker this season? Thank you for all you've done. I have enjoyed a profitable MLB season. That's a great question. We got a little bit of time. Cheese, is there anything this season that you wish you would have caught on to earlier, or that you changed? Or you're just like, no, this is what I do and it works?
I would have to think off the top of my head. I don't have an answer to that. But I will be marinating on it as we continue to talk.
Okay. And Squirrel, you did make a little bit of a change, going cheaper, prioritizing cheaper pitchers a bit.
Yeah, and I think I maybe would have done that a little bit earlier. I do think the thing that stuck out about this baseball season is just how many pitchers went down. Like the high price pitchers went down or went up in flames early in the year. We kind of forget about Spencer Strider, these guys at this point. But I think maybe starting off, and especially it's probably more true earlier in the season, that there's just increased variance, and so getting away from chalk expensive pitchers early in the season, probably a good idea.
Okay, good answer. Our guy Stoner in the chat says, "Is that delay in Detroit weather related or a retirement ceremony?" It's weather, but I fully expect that they will play the game, so I wouldn't stress about it too hard. What do we got? Cheese, Rankum, Ginger Snaps, Nilla Wafers, and Milano Cookies. I'm currently having all 3. Fluff's not me. I wish I was. Rankum Cheese.
Funny that Ginger snaps, like it sounds like I don't like ginger snap, and I rarely do, but like if you eat them very rarely, it's like, wow, that's actually really good. Like it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Weirdly refreshing. You're like, oh,
yeah, it's strange.
Nice.
I would still say Milano cookies first there, but like it's worth giving kudos to the surprise sneak attack of how good ginger snaps can be.
Yeah, and then are we in agreement that the vanilla wafers are at the bottom?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're really only good in like a banana pudding situation. Is the only time I
want just plain vanilla wafers. I kind of liked them when I was 4. I mean, I would eat one if I had to, but I don't have to.
Oh man! All right, what do we got? Large field tournament. Here we go. Favorite FanDuel GPP pitcher, Squirrel.
It's always just a question of risk tolerance. Like I think Dylan Cease is pretty interesting. He's probably going to see like very little ownership, especially. But if like he could get a 0 right because of the weather, so we'll see. It's good hitting umpire, I believe, and pretty good hitting weather. But he is also a guy that can overcome that completely. Yeah. So like he is the high risk, high reward option. The safest option by far is Logan Gilbert. Probably in the middle, actually, like Spencer Schwellenbach is maybe a good call if you want to be less risky than Cease.
Okay, good stuff. Razzle Dazzle says DK Cash, Squirrel, Edmund or Larnack in the outfield, or somebody else 3,400 or less.
I would, definitely go with Edmund.
Okay. Blink 182 says Cheese for a large field DK GPP tournament. I need Mr. Cheese's insight. I'm using Mania and Springs with a full 5-man stack that I'm sure he'd love, and a sneaky 3-man. I have 1,400 left. Is leaving salary on the table worth it, or should I change Springs to Webb or upgrade a bat?
I mean, if you have salary, I much prefer Webb over Springs.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, just do that.
What else do we have? DK GPP Cheese Michaelis, yay or nay?
Kevin, will you answer that for me if I tell you that he is facing San Diego?
Yeah, that's a no. That's a big fat no, because San Diego is going to channel cake that dude. No, don't do it. It's probably a fine GPP question. Let's see. Judge hits 63 or Shohei gets 50-50, Squirrel. Which is going to happen this season?
I'm surprised Judge doesn't have like 70 already.
Right.
Like I
like
assumed he'd hit like 15 as the game starts.
Just today.
Yeah. Judge is. Yeah.
Okay. He's so good. He's just so absurdly good. And then Shohei's my favorite player of all time. Good things happening in baseball. What else do we have? Would an elephant pee longer if he held it in all day? Oh, yeah. I think they have the same rules as we do. You know, there's a range, and that range is similar through all animals.
Yeah, the mouse would do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, the mouse has got the same thing going down. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Blackman or Toglia?
Toglia.
The Boogie says Mania or Heaney SP2 in a DK large field tournament. Cheese.
Mania.
What do we got? FanDuel 2v2, Squirrel Schwellenbacken. He put it Schwellenbacken or Betts or Flaherty and Fitzgerald.
I go Schwellenbach and Betts.
Okay. Let's see. DK GPP, Squirrel Cronenworth or Alonso?
Is that DK GPP?
It was DK GPP, Cronenworth or Alonso.
I'll go Cronenworth, but it's close, really close.
Okay.
I was going to have to leave.
Okay.
And I love Alonso.
Yeah. Yazid's Army says, Cheese, with Freeman out, would you prefer a one-off for a 4-3-1 or rebuild? DK GPP large field.
I don't think you have to go out of your way to full stack it. I would 4-3-1.
Okay. Great. Cheese, I've got 3,800 left for you till my build is kind of chalk 4 Colorado, 3 Boston. The simple thing would be to plug in Duran. Do you like Teoscar better as a one-off, or would you not overthink it and just make a full 4-4 stack?
I mean, if you're saying you can just play Duran and it's a 4-4, I would just do that. I mean, sure, it's kind of chalky, but like, again, I don't think the chance of you getting duped, it's not like it's that chalky. Just go win with your 4-4.
Okay. Do you like Milwaukee, Squirrel?
Let's see. Not really. They're not really on my radar. Like, I don't love the idea of playing Logan Webb, but I don't really necessarily want to go to Milwaukee either. They're like a home team in a 7.5, toss-up game. So yeah, I think there are better options.
Okay. MK says, Kevin, have you ever seen more perfect weather than Falmouth, Massachusetts, around Cape Cod last Thursday to Sunday? Holy moly, chef's kiss. I follow the weather pretty well, but I'm not sure what the weather happened to be there in Cape Cod.
It was so perfect. I can't believe you didn't just watch it all weekend.
I should have known.
Live streamed.
The best weather in the world is the first cold front in Houston. And we're maybe like a month away from that now because it's so miserable. And this goes for like the whole South. Geez, probably Alabama too. When you get that first cold front and you're like, oh, summer is, at least temporarily gone. It's the greatest freaking thing ever. But then I think in places like Chicago and other spots, it's the best weather in the world is the first warm up. But we don't really, that's not really how it goes in the South, right?
It still is a little bit though. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if your winters are like ours. It's actually kind of a miserable January, February.
That's true.
You get that mid-March
as bad as yours.
It has that effect as well.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see what else we've got here. Cheese, your favorite batter or batters in San Diego? You did mention you like San Diego multiple times. Who are your favorites?
Merrill first, Cronenworth second.
Okay, easy enough. By the way, this is a great reason you should be joining the Discord because I start taking questions from there, and I'm honestly doing my best, aside from right now when I'm sidetracking, and I have not gotten to the YouTube yet. So please do join the RG Discord because I answer questions first there. So make sure you're jumping in. RotoGrinders Discord. It's a party every day. FanDuel GPP. I got a little confused and lost here. Squirrel, Guerrero Jr. and Edman or Casas and Toglia?
Probably go Guerrero and Edman.
Okay. Fluff says Norby, Will Smith versus Blackman, Tyler O'Neill. Squirrel, FanDuel single entry. Norby, Will Smith or Blackman, Tyler O'Neill?
I like all those. Norby and Will Smith, I think, is going to be much chalkier. I think it's a thought. It's just a question of risk tolerance or like how off the board you want to be. I got to go with Norby.
Yeah. Okay. Squirrel, your favorite flavor milkshake? This is an important question. I feel like we've gone through milkshakes once before on this show.
I usually do like some kind of Reese's Pieces or like not Pieces, the peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
Like Reese's peanut butter cup. Or sometimes an Oreo. But
like a cookies and cream, cookies and cream type deal is solid. I'm a traditional. I just go strawberry. I don't know why. I don't eat milkshakes all that often, but when I do, I go strawberry. Cheese, you have a strong take here. I feel like cookies and cream.
It's just plain old chocolate.
Just chocolate. Okay. All right. What else do we have here? Scrolling down a little bit. FanDuel Cash Cheese, Smith and Norby or Toglia and Rogers?
Smith Norby.
Okay. Cheese, FanDuel GPP, Adamas, or maybe that's Adams. No, I think it's Adamas or Edman.
I don't like either outside of a stack, but I guess Adamas.
Okay. Luke Cage says, Squirrel, if San Diego is the second best stack, Cheese would tell you it's the first. Who is number one? Colorado?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to play the Coors Field game, which isn't always the case, but I think this time ownership's going to be spread out enough.
It makes sense. I love that counterintuitive thinking. People not doing it, you want to do it. People doing it, you don't want to do it. That's what makes you better than me. I'm like, oh, everyone's doing this. That's the right thing. That's why I suck at DFS. What else do we have? DK single entry GPP Squirrel 3v3 for you. Teoscar, Shohei, and Muncy or Berger, Seager, Duran?
Well, the first one's all Dodgers. I would go with that and hope that they just go berserk.
Sure. Okay. AC Dog says Cheese, Conine, or Stowers? FanDuel GPP one off.
Stowers.
Okay. My favorite weather movie, it's got to be just Twister. I hate to go with the chalk, but I freaking love the original Twister. It's amazing. What else do we got? Jumping into the YouTube. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit us with the thumbs up. It is free content. And not only do you get all these sports takes, but also these fabulous food takes, such as what is Cheese's favorite donut from Donut Man? That's amazing.
Donut Man. There he is.
You may get a special delivery.
Yeah. I think we had this once before. Mine is vanilla frosted with sprinkles.
Okay. Squirrel, favorite donut?
Probably just like a strawberry jelly.
Okay. See, yeah, I'm in that. I like either like a Boston cream filling or some sort of jelly filling in my donut. Cheese, when you say that, you don't mean like plain glazed. You mean like with vanilla icing?
Like the white vanilla icing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where are we at? Let's see. Favorite pitcher in a FanDuel single entry, Cheese?
Schwellenbach.
Very good. Catching up on more questions. Scroll your favorite Colorado batter from Drummer 210.
Very favorite. Let's see. Ezekiel Tovar, but followed pretty closely by Michael Tugley.
Okay. Squirrel, we got a 3v3 for you from Amateur Hour. It is Stallings, Rogers, and Conine, or Jansen, Taylor, Hilliard.
First one, I already forget what it was.
Okay. It was Stallings, Rogers, Conine. Cheese, Tovar, Norby, or Blackman, Toglia? FanDuel cash.
Okay. Tovar, Norby.
Okay. Any Atlanta players today, gentlemen? Got any Atlanta?
I have a pretty fair amount of Ozuna and a couple of stacks.
Okay. We got home run calls already. I think someone asked for home run calls. We already gave those. So sorry, Chip. We just missed that. Power says banana is the best and most refreshing milkshake. I'm not against the banana milkshake. It's a strong order. It's bold, but it's pretty damn good. You have to be
kind of mood for that, but yeah, it can work.
Yep. Yeah. Day After Tomorrow is a better weather movie. It's fine, but nah. And then let's close it out on this. Your favorite dinner bread. Your favorite dinner bread. Okay. I think I have my answer. Cheese, your favorite dinner bread.
See, that's weird. Like, I don't have like a style. It's like when you get a magic bread, you take like, there it is. Like sometimes you're just surprised. You're like, oh my goodness, that bread is amazing. Like, it's just a basic, like unexpected loaf of bread. Like the bread they serve you at Longhorn Steakhouse is better than the steak. Like you don't see it coming. It's just like, bring me more bread. But I don't know if I can give you like a type. It's just sometimes bread is just the best thing in the world, but I don't know what makes it that. Like, I don't even want them to tell me their secret. Just let them come back here and get bread another time.
Yeah. I similarly don't have a really strong answer, but growing up, we used to get these little like roll type things, and there was a little cross in the top of them. They were like, and
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Cut them up, and I'd put butter in them, and then make a little butter volcano out of it.
Absolutely. They were. I don't know what those are called, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, those things are freaking amazing. So just for nostalgic sake, I haven't had one in like 20 years, but that was the first thing that came to mind. So that's what I'm going with. Crescent rolls also came to mind. Squirrel, do you have a favorite dinner bread?
I don't really. Like, I'm not like a bread connoisseur. Like ice cream, I have like very nuanced takes. You know, I'm like, oh, in this situation, like this kind of milkshake. But like bread, just anything with a ton of butter probably is my answer.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with that. The more, the better. Dean says, is Do the Right Thing considered a weather movie? What is Do the Right Thing? Do I know what that is? Do you guys know what that is?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to look that up. Do the Right Thing. I feel like I know what that is.
It's like a Spike Lee.
Oh. I don't even know what to say.
I don't know.
It's
very hot in Do the Right Thing. Was that the Spike Lee movie where you were?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's about a heat wave. That's like kind of the start of the heat wave.
For whatever reason, like I couldn't get out of my head the right stuff. I was like, is this an outer space movie? But no, that's the Spike Lee.
Okay. No, it is absolutely not considered a weather movie, but Perfect Storm is, and I absolutely love Perfect Storm. When I power rank my weather movies, Perfect Storm is at the top of the list. Hey, we got to bounce because we have we've got a golf show coming on. I do really quick want to give you guys an update on if anything new has broken down outside of a Bush. Nope. So far, nothing. You know what? Wait with me for another 15 seconds, and I'll look at the very latest models, which have just come in at the top of the hour. Let's see. Like, you might get an all clear right now. It's possible. It's not likely, but it's possible. Honestly, looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Not an all clear, but it looks models are not as aggressive this round than they were an hour ago, where there was much more widespread. I think you should, I think you should play stacks and probably pitchers in that game as well. And that's not to say that something can't go wrong. It still could, but I'm going to be lowering the risk. I've got it right now. I think orange, yellow. I'm going to be lowering that risk probably. Dean says weather.com was right. Damn it. No. Jimmy says, serious question, is climate change real or it's obviously real. It's not even like there's no even debate about it. The statistics are the statistics. So it's obviously real. And it's not political. It's just like, that's the science. That's that. Okay. With that,
if you're allowed to say that out loud,
I don't know either.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
15 years ago, it was a question. It was a legitimate question, but now it's not. There's just, even the people who think it's not real at this point are like, all right, it's actually real. Like, it can't be denied. All right. Terrible way to end the show. Sorry for that. Score.
We just lost 7 subscribers.
Right. Let's do some politics right before the end of the show. All right. For Squirrel and for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.